All right. It says we're live. I don't see the preview stream yet, but there it goes. YouTube has completely changed their streaming, whatever that thing is over there. So we're working around that and just kind of hoping it works. Last week's stream should also be fixed now. So without further ado, how is it going, everyone? And welcome to a farmless episode of No Excuses with two of your favorite show hosts, Aristel.
And Volacel, and unfortunately Fern can't be with us this week. He is in work hell right now, but he will be rejoining us next week, or so we plan.
Yes. While I don't think any of us have used the word rantathon in our discussions, we'll be going over the Game Awards, and Fern is completely free next week. I, as of the moment, am free, but due to when that day falls, that may adjust. I will not know until day of, but I should be good. We'll have to see how Vol's doing, and we'll just do a stream covering the Game Awards and just see how it goes. It may or may not wind up being a rantathon, or it may just be a long show for episode 700. We're not really making as many formal plans as we normally do around this one.
Yeah, everything as far as my work is concerned is sort of in suspension at the moment because we're really low on staff, and yet we're still going to have to deal with end of year volatility in work volumes because it's basically maximum level of unpredictability immediately before holiday periods such as Easter and Christmas. So making any assumptions about how busy I'm going to be and how often I'm going to be answering my phone when I am at home is not wise to make. So, but at any rate, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com. You can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord server, the best place to communicate with the show hosts and other listeners to the show. You can get there by clicking on the link provided in the low bar underneath the show archive on YouTube.
Yes, indeed. I have a leaf. This week we don't have a whole lot in the Gacha Osphere to talk about, which is going to present a problem because we're holding the Game Awards for next week. I may do some minor, just tidbit of basically developers that showed up or didn't show up, and how I thought that was funny, but that we're saving 99.9 repeating percent of Game Awards coverage for next week. I have not even watched the whole thing. I've only seen a few clips and bits and pieces. But yeah, so I still need to do that, and that's literally all everybody is talking about. Baharoy's coming out. There's a lot of stuff that's being dripped in the marketing now that the 3.0 banners are out, and marketing cycle is officially kicked into high gear because I think it's coming out in 2 weeks.
It's
Actually,
coming out on Christmas Day.
okay. So
So
that
ironically, I'll be too busy to participate.
yeah. So in addition to not being on social media to follow it anyway, I've been going out of my way not to follow it on YouTube stuff because the new region to be mostly a surprise when I get there and still be excited for stuff without having weeks of the hype engine to show me all kinds of stuff. This is something about these gacha games that really drives me nuts is small things in the hype cycle they use for marketing. I know it works and I know a lot of people really like it and get into it, but I would just prefer it to surprise me. And right now I'm at a good position where people are just telling me the general vibe is really cool, and it seems like it's going to be a good time from the outside, hearing in and deliberately not looking. So
I don't have any issues with it at all. I enjoy the hype cycle. Unlike the HSR team, the Woowa team has a good handle on what constitutes a spoiler and what doesn't. So as long as I don't get actual spoilers, I'm perfectly happy.
yeah.
I'm I'm always keen to sort of like get a feel and build for some expectations because most people will have figured out by now that I love attempting to guess what the story is going to be and how things are going to be and what elements might come into play and how it might tie into other story factors. Like speculation is a big part of the game for me. And it's a lonely game because I don't want to speculate along with other people in the community because other people in the community are toxic. So It's something that I am enjoying by myself, and therefore don't run the risk of people introducing spoilers to the mix.
Yeah, I do not care too much if the occasional something breaks through the wall when these games put out new content, like new mechanics or character spoilers or whatever that characters that are coming out. But if possible, I try to avoid it. Just because I find myself more engaged when I go into a new patch or especially a new version change, uh, knowing next to nothing. Well, so the less I know is usually better, but I'm not going to lose my mind if the occasional little spoiler leaks through, as long as it's not narrative related.
I mean, the thing is that the bar for that is pretty low for me before the noggin starts jogging. Like, okay, so what's the new region called? Lahairoi. Okay, so where does Lahairoi come from? Well, Lahairoi is a biblical site. Um, how do I say? Uh, do you remember the story of Ishmael?
Yes, I mean,
Right. So basically, Agar runs off into the desert, right, to die, and eventually God saves her. The site, the well at which God saves her, is named Beer Lahairoi, with Beer meaning well and Lahairoi meaning one who sees and lives. So, okay, so we've already got this sort of like, well, they named it that for a reason. So what can we draw out from that? Like, this is where the game starts for me. The game starts from a tiny, tiny piece of information. And what can we try and guess based on this?
yeah, yeah. I used to enjoy that kind of stuff, and I don't really know what happened where I just stopped. I think,
Probably because the writing in every game you were playing at the time fell off a cliff.
yeah, I just,
Like, if you look at World of Warcraft, because World of Warcraft used to be ripe for this crap, right? But then
yeah,
they just started pulling shit out of their ass.
yeah, and then just,
It's sort of like how people were so keen to speculate about Lost, and then they realized that the writers of Lost didn't know either.
yeah, and then 14 started started its descent with the Endwalker post patches and just kept on going down it went.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm a proponent of the rather popular um, theory that it was never that the story of Endwalker was never written for what's her name, Tiger Princess, um
oh, Dawn
Wick
Trail, you
Lamar.
mean?
Yeah. Dawn Trail was never written for Wick Lamar. It was always intended to be Kona or a character very like Kona as the NPC lead,
Mm-hmm.
because basically Wick Lamar has no personality other than being a retard. But they sort of just forced her in there, which is why nothing about her nature or her personality or her place in the world or her ambitions makes sense, right? She doesn't believe in anything. She doesn't care about anything. The only thing she knows how to do is squawk peace, peace, peace. And this is what she has instead of a personality. So if you look at the side characters, they all have a motivation, even if it's a bit of a shonky one, because the writing is definitely mediocre at best. But the Wook Lamart writing is so much worse than all of the other already quite bad writing that it sticks out like a sore thumb. But the
It
whole story actually makes sense if you make Kona the main character. So
I could see that being a possibility. Like it, Dawn Trail is a very frustrating experience to think back on because it's like Dawn Trail is supposed to be a character centric story, but the person writing it is terrible at character writing. They have no idea what the f they're doing.
well, I think that the seeds of a good idea exist in Kona because, like, he's for starters, he's not stupid. He has a lot of good ideas, but he's got this vision in his mind of a highly advanced version of Tural, where all their problems are solved by importing Sharlayan technology, etc. Right, and you can sort of, unlike Wick Lamart, who doesn't have any idea whatsoever of what she wants. You can sort of understand how Kona would come to that conclusion after being an exchange student for years in one of the most advanced nations on the face of Eorzea. Like you can sort of see how he arrived at that position, and he goes back home, and there's no air conditioning, and everybody is a buffoon, and he's like, "Well, we can fix this. I just need to seize the reins of power so that I can, jolt people out of their backwards ways, and we can do all of these incredible things and become a powerful globalist nation." Like he's got that view of the world. He thinks that this is the way forward and will trample all over what people actually want and what actually works based on his preconceived idea of utopia. Which is, of course, it's got a lot of defects to it, and that's where you can have your character grow throughout the story, so he can learn to balance the advance of technology with the preservation of tradition and so on. Like there's a very easy through line there compared to Wiglamat, who doesn't believe in anything to start with and doesn't believe in anything to finish with either, other than peace, peace, peace. So that's why I'm one of the people who thinks that that's a more credible explanation for how come Wiglamat doesn't seem to fit into the story anywhere and yet is the main character, is probably like when they turned over a great deal of the influence over direction to the Californiaized branch of the company, and they will have appealed to marketing to say, oh, we need to market towards a more inclusive demographic, and hey, look, we're deploying um, female Hrothgar, so we need to have a really prominent female Hrothgar representative. If we just make the centerpiece character a female Hrothgar, that'll be way better for marketing because everybody will want to be like that character, right? Right? You can sort of see how they could bend the marketing team to be on their side and sort of push the project in the direction of rewrites to accommodate this. But since they're rewriting around a bit character that doesn't have any real role other than to be like, if Wiglamat existed before, she would probably be like the comic relief opponent.
You could like have her exist in the Kona main character scenario as the crux that shakes him out of his redditor mindset. Like have something happen
Yeah.
to her because
Well,
of
you
stuff.
have her be the representation of the simpler ways of being of the people of Tara, because she's definitely a simpleton. Like it's not hard to see a role for her in the story, but she's going to be sort of like the buffoonish representative of sort of the wide-eyed uh, native Turalian who's coming into contact with these bizarre Sharlayan ideas for the first time through her brother's attempts to compete with the siblings in this War of Succession. So like, it's just a way easier and more coherent story to write than what they actually did, which makes no sense on the face. And that's really the thing, right? It makes no sense on the face. So there's no point in wondering about the deeper lore. There's no point in wondering about the implications of anything that happens because they've already tossed that out the window in order to accommodate a marketing thing being Wiglamat. And then when you extend the story further on, it continues to make sense because, well, what have you got in Solution 9? Well, you've got a civilization that has marched to the absolute extremes
And
of
went full
Kona's initial
Redditard.
philosophy. Yeah, basically, they went full Redditard. Everything was about using technology to solve all of life's problems. They are like Solution 9 is civilization Ozempic. Nobody exercises anymore, you just take drugs to lose weight. This is the logic of Solution 9. And what has it done to them as a people? So you can see that story does exist in Amateur, but they didn't use it. They used a boneheaded story that they thought would sell better, and it absolutely didn't because people could smell the difference. And so the whole story loses value. The things that people used to be interested in and speculate out and about and dig into about the world and about the peoples living in it. Oh well, I mean, does it really matter if the writers don't think it matters, or the writers don't trust that you can deal with their original plot? So they've just given you this, you know, perfunctory story about a tiger princess who doesn't know anything about the nation she lives in.
Yeah, and then I watched and back to the original point with it. I watched Genshin face plant the landing on what was otherwise looking really good with Natlan.
I
Yeah,
I still haven't been able to figure out what exactly they were trying to do. Like,
they
how can you go from such a strong patch to such a weak patch? It's like there was a patch between them that wasn't there,
well that
as we've said in the past.
yeah, it's like so we have no idea what happened there. I'm also out town that drops stars and I'm traffic light stop. But yeah, it's so we had that, and then uh, Star Rail was its overarching story for Amphorius I didn't think was bad, but its presentation and the way it told that story did not make me look forward to going through it every time.
It's a pretty straightforward case of they bit off more than they could chew.
And
Like you had a too large of a cast and weren't writing a coordinated ensemble story. Like the climax of Elysian Realm actually balances all the flame chasers really well. Like they all get screen time, they all have their own sort of personalities and agendas play out in practice. Like it's a very well balanced story, but they tried to do it in the wrong sort of format. Like they didn't learn the right lessons, they didn't retain the right things from that approach, and it sort of kind of just made a mess.
then in ZZZ, I never cared about the overarching story. I've been hyper focused on the character story of the game, and just really not giving a toss.
The
Whatever.
character story singular because there's only one,
Yeah,
and they tell it over and over again.
yeah, and I just don't really care too much about about where they're taking the main story in that one, and haven't really since the beginning. Never been the reason I play that game.
I can't play action games very well, so I have to be interested in the story, but they've done a really shoddy job of it, to be honest. Like, you can only tell the same sob story so many times, and it's like, well, really? You can't, like, come up with a different story? Maybe just one? One more story? No, we're doing the orphan thing again? Okay, I guess. If you really want to.
What's funny with them doing the orphan stretch again was recently when they did Yadari because they went out of their way to model her parents, but still had to find a reason for them to die.
Yep. And what's more, they modeled her parents to not look anything like her for some reason. Don't know why. Like,
I mean,
they know
teach.
about heredity, right? That's a thing.
No, no, no. You see, that's the thing with Thyron genes. Sometimes the octopus just comes out a little more in the kids. I don't know if this is actually true. I'm totally BSing this, but it sounds right in my head. And by right, I mean it's the only thing that makes it work.
Somebody in their law book has actually driven up the Mendelian inheritance for Theron genes because they talk about it in that little event where where Ellen wants Wise to pretend to be her older brother for parent teacher meetings.
Oh,
She's like, "Oh well, my parents are a wolf Theron and shark Theron, so the odds that my brother will come out based on their genetics is going to be, yeah, we think we should make you a wolf Theron because shark Therons are too rare."
I see. Yeah, I haven't found a whole lot of fun in speculating in these, and none of them have managed to. I won't say live up to expectations because I don't ever expect them to live up to the highest point I set for them, but I expect them to at least, stick a landing and tell something interesting. But there were just a lot of misses back to back to back to back to back, and total collapses of long running narratives. Again, for
It jumped all the way over there.
that that thing got mad legs. Saw me dump all my juice on his boys, and he got out of there. I got no juice, so that's all you. Yeah. So, um, we've stalled with pre-talk time to try and buy us some time here, but I guess we can get into what of your week there is.
Um, Blue Archive is on what, for some reason, I feel inclined to call a bye week because I've been watching too many of those skits. But I'm pretty sure that that show's going on hiatus for a bit. The whatchamacallit, the SEC roll call.
Oh yes.
So yeah, Blue Archive is having a bye week. There's nothing happening. If I recall correctly, 100 free pulls is starting on the 16th of December. So might want to log in for that. And anniversary happens as usual immediately afterwards or towards the tail end of 100 free pulls typically. And that will start. Well, I think the two banner characters at the start of that are Swimsuit Saya and Swimsuit Hasumi, which I'm sure is in both of them in great demand from certain demographics,
I mean,
in respect of certain demographics.
Saya is adorable, and Hasumi only has one gag, but it is very funny the way they do it every time I've seen them.
No, she has two gags, because one of them is about her eternal dieting, and the other one is about her size.
Well, I mean, there are two parts to the size gag, I suppose. Bump it up to 2.5. I like Hasumi, and I like Saya, but I just am not into that game right now, and I do not
Saya
know.
has become such a brat since she came out of her coma.
I just I like Saya entirely for the reason that I was locked in on the pull decision on Cardathea, and that I just like her idle animations and the little event she had wandering around Millennium. Just
But yeah, so there's not much happening this week because everybody's taking a deep breath in preparation for next week. New Stygian Onslaught is launched in Genshin, for what it's worth. I'm not even attempting it, to be totally honest. I've sort of just given up on it as a game mode right now. It's too sweaty for my tastes. I would have to invest more time than I'm willing to spend to try and overcome it, because it would require me to do a lot of rejigging. It would require me to build up basically a full set of Favonius weapons, since in most teams you kind of need them because you don't have any energy to start. Which I can only assume that was deliberate in order to make the game essentially different from the other in-game modes where you do start with energy. But
all that wound up doing was making the weapon set that offsets that weakness top tier.
yeah, so now everybody just builds Favonius for that mode because it's the only way to get energy. Or, I mean, your other option is to just use the Skirk team, because the Skirk team isn't energy dependent for the
Yeah.
most part. Like, but that's not. It's not like you can use the team more than once. So yeah, and my my two super premium teams that I have built to like really substantial levels are my Nefer team and my Skirk team. They're like my most powerful theoretical output teams. But the Nefer team simply doesn't function without starting at full energy. it's a total lost cause. You've got to try and keep yourself alive, waiting for energy to just kind of roll in naturally because there's no way to short circuit the wait.
Yeah.
So it's just frustrating, to be totally honest. It's a really unpleasant feeling when you start the fight and you just can't do anything. Like, you really shouldn't be going for that in design terms. That
It's
seems like a really poor idea.
it's not as bad with the Nailu team because you can at least do trickle damage while you're building up, but you don't get the Llama ult, you don't get the Nahida ult, you don't get Kokomi's ult on standby to top everybody off after you blow yourself up with all the bombs. Just it makes the team feel really clunky to play.
But yeah, apparently one of the bosses can still be cheesed using Jean. This time I haven't bothered though, so I don't know for sure that that's the case. But I have heard, in fact, that that's the case, that you can just toss people around. I think it's the Ikitomi saw that can be picked up. I can't remember, but yeah, I don't really care so much about that. There really just isn't that much going on in this patch at present. It's pretty
Oh, okay.
pretty blah, pretty blah. I can't even remember what was the event. The event this time was what, pinball. I liked the pinball. The pinball was fun, but it's like 5 minutes of fun. It's not like something you can sink a lot of time into. So
A lot of the games like that, like the ones that are mini games that are produced enough where you can get some fun out of them and you enjoy them while they're out. I kind of wish they would just like, you know how Pinecone would let you put the mini games of past events in your guild house, you know, for the 3 seconds before uh that game
when
died.
Crunchyroll it.
Yeah, and how I was like, oh man, I can play Kuka Cannon whenever I want now, and was so happy. I wish there was something like that for those games because I would just like
Well,
kind of like
they already did that in Star Rail for like the mini games in Simulated Universe. Like, they're all infinitely playable in your room,
yeah,
and if you want to play the older games, they're available around the place as well.
yeah, and then in ZZZ, most of the games like that are stuck in the arcade whenever they do one.
I resent the arcade from those days when it was mandatory every week.
Yeah, but
I would probably think the arcade was really cool if they hadn't made it mandatory.
yeah,
It's no longer mandatory, but they did back then, and I came to really hate it.
gotta find the other hackable panels here.
Well,
There's one.
I'm here. I'm here to murder things, so I'm going to keep murdering things while I've still got my food, is because my food buff is still running. So, and its food is expensive, so it's the it's worth knowing if you happen not to be aware and you're playing Woowa, when you have to go on these lengthy environmental farms, pop drop rate food. It will save you a lot of time. But it's expensive, so don't be in shell credit hell when you do it, if at all possible. But yeah, so Genshin has been pretty much a non-event. I'm currently working on. I mean, I want to get Zubai when she's out, which means that I'm going to be building a Lunar Crystallized team, basically. But Lunar Crystallized team will want Columbina just as much as my Nefer team wants Columbina. So somebody is going to get Ino, which means I need to make Ino useful. And the easiest way to make Ino more effective would be to have her carry the Dendro Res Shred set that normally Nahida uses. So I'm working on farming up a better Ino compatible version of that. And I'll mix and match some bits and pieces with Nahida in order to build that up. So that's what I'm using my Stygian Onslaught daily farming on, because probably Columbine is going to end up with the Zebai team, because there's not really a good set to enhance that team, I don't think. Not really sure going forward. I might have to rethink rethink some of the gear on some of my Natlan characters in case they are too Natlan character centric, because I don't really want to have them geared up in such a way that they're only any use with other Natlan characters.
Yeah.
And I know that the whole Night Soul state thing appears a lot in the text of those relic sets, and it's like, well, how much effectiveness are you still getting? Are you getting enough effectiveness from their personal Night Soul state, or is the way this team is structured, does it require everybody be in Night Soul state, or what type of thing? So yeah, because I mean, we do have to sort of move on from there, and a lot of people are saying that they suspect that in retrospect, Nodcry is going to be a really, really bad expansion, simply because when lunar reactions get discontinued, they're going to have none of the characters are going to have any compatibility with anything else anymore. Those teams will basically be frozen in amber.
Yeah. I mean, it's because they're slow rolling the types of reactions. They have room to rejigger it and revive it. Different element combinations. You could add more lunar combinations, but yeah, it it,
Well,
it
the other
it
thing
won't be
is that
the focus anymore. So
more recently, though, they have shown a willingness to go back and change the skill descriptions. Most specifically, when they did the Witch's homework, they they went back and they added lunar reactions to relevant characters who use reactions, so as to retain compatibility. So, I mean, I know they have a pressing interest in doing that now, since Luna is currently their push. But if they have set the precedent, oh yes, we can go back in time and alter the way these particular elemental interactions work with each other. Well, if that's actually an open life possibility, then perhaps they're not doomed after all. But they have to have the motivation to do it, rather than to just mothball it the way like Night Soul is kind of obligatorily mothballed. There's not really any way for anybody else to have Night Soul.
yeah, it has to,
So,
by design has to be baked in the kit, or it's not. It's either there or it's not.
but there's no lunar reaction that doesn't correspond to another type of reaction. That's
Yeah,
the advantage of that particular design.
all the major Bloom character related characters, like Nailu, had her skill description changed to also work with Lunar Bloom and stuff. So I have found some.
No, there's not very many. Not very many there.
Or the whole town.
Right, well, the next place for stars then is the northeast.
Morfall Barrens Northeast, or the
Yeah, I think practically everything out there is like similar composition to the city. Not that I've spent a lot of time there. I could be wrong about that. This is my least explored area of this region, so where are the mobs? Here are the mobs. But yeah. So yeah, Genshin's basically didn't seem to me like it was going to be doing all that much this patch when I watched the previews. But next time will be Lantern, right? They have leaked the uh, line counts for the Archon quests, and to my extraordinary surprise, the leaks show that the Traveler has twice as many lines as Paimon in the next Archon quest, which is pretty exceptional compared to the way things used to be.
Yeah, Traveler has been talking a lot more.
I really think that does align with the desires of most of the player base as well. I think most people are happier that way. Right, have fun. I can't hurt those. I can heal you because I just need to get it to a certain position in my combo to heal. Yeah, so I'm sort of interested to see how that actually looks in practice, where the traveler is speaking more than Paimon, because normally Paimon speaks for you. Paimon is your spokesperson, but yeah, it's going to be a very much more balanced in favor of the traveler going forward. But yep, all of the usual suspects are going to be involved in the New Lantern Right story that's coming out. They with your boys Moose and Bird going to be putting in appearances.
Prime opportunity for a boy Moon Carver to finally become playable, but no.
Well, he's just named Moon Carver. He doesn't really have much of a tie to the moon per se. But
Good work. They have had dumber justifications.
Z-Bai as a character is only exists sort of in written lore so far, but she has a much deeper tie to, it's like she's sort of higher up the celestial hierarchy type of thing. Like she's sort of like more on sort of Nicole's tier of power rather than Mooncarver's tier of power. She's probably not as much of a yapper as Nicole, because I don't think anybody is. But yeah, so Genshin's being Genshin, and in this case, that means not doing very much of anything. Speaking of things not doing much of anything, Star Rail is also not doing much of anything right now, which is more or less to be expected since the new patch drops next week, and then we'll be in for a long 8-week wait. But yeah, considering I'm going to be going all in on Constance, I'm going to need that 8 weeks in order to recoup my resources in preparation for 4.x. So, yeah, I think that there's something like the current estimates are something like 140 to 150 pulls are going to be available during the duration of this coming patch. It's going to be needful.
I'm probably gonna try and get a Goliath C1. That's all I'm for. On those cards, not doing anything with them in case we ran into one.
Yeah, so I don't know. Everybody seems to hate Break. Like if you look at the toxic online community, they seem to have a special animus for Break that doesn't appear to be extended to other archetypes. Not really sure why, but
Probably
yeah,
because
I think
it's centered around Firefly, and Firefly is a capital G girl, like a
yeah,
normal
I
ass
think that's
girl.
probably it. Yeah, she's a girl who is designed to basically flip all of the normal girl switches. I mean, she's sort of, you know, a space child soldier, etc. But her purpose in terms of a character design is to flip normal girl switches. Like she's a sort of a moe character who happens to drive a mech suit. Sort of people of the 2000s 2010s era of anime watching will particularly have a fondness for these types of characters, because that's sort of like the standard female character. But yeah, it's there's a lot of hate for it that has extended over to discussions of its sort of like mechanical archetypal nature, and I sort of understand this, because a lot of the protestation is rightly directed at the kind of shabby, sloppy balancing approach that seems to be being taken at present. I mean, to some extent, they're fighting a rearguard action against past mistakes. So there's going to be a mess when they try and clean it up. But I see Break as being basically synonymous with Dot. The problems are basically the same. You've designed a particular type of damage output archetype that works in theory, but runs up against the problem of, in practice, the way you designed the game around speed makes it impossible. Because I mean, like, let's take Dot for example. Well, your initial design was that they take damage on their turn, right? But then the game has moved to being about preventing the enemy from getting as many turns as possible and giving you as many turns as possible. Turns during which your archetype doesn't deal any damage because you designed it that way. So that becomes a pretty significant issue with the design. But Break has the same problem, right? Breaks is a bit of a slower roll though, because Break does at present the predominant, after Constance's deployment, this will remain true, just to a slightly lesser extent. Break does most of its damage during the break phase, but what are you designing against as you increase the emphasis of speed on the game? Well, you need to increase the length of the toughness bar, because every team can break a target. It's just break teams depend on it for their damage. But when you break a target, they lose a turn. And if you're trying to accelerate your bosses to keep the bosses relevant when everybody is speeding up, then you need to be able to stop people from easily and quickly denying the boss a turn. So what do? You lengthen the toughness bar. But since other archetypes don't care about the toughness bar to do damage, you have to lengthen the health bar as well, which means that Break gets hit twice every time every other team gets hit once, because the toughness bar is delaying their ability to do damage, and the health bar is getting longer even though you've got less time to do the damage in. So Break falls off really, really fast because it's fundamentally flawed as a design for the current environment. Constance will ameliorate this to some extent, but it ameliorates it in a kind of a band-aidy way, in that you gain a type of break damage. Because super break damage is basically a translation of toughness damage into real damage that is invoked by coefficients on a per character basis that are driven by stats. Constance basically allows you to use essentially allows you to borrow from Constance a coefficient that allows you to do break at all times. Now, you're not going to be able to use all your normal baked-in coefficients until you get a real break, but you are going to be able to do some damage. And you can see that they don't really know exactly how this fix is going to hold up, because there are certain really suspicious coefficient caps in Constance's kit that allow you to do ridiculously high amounts. That they seem to assume ridiculously high amounts of enemy toughness. So I can only assume they don't actually have a long-term fix for this archetype, and at present they're just buying time, which is not really very promising. But it is what it is. Break's my favorite team, and I'm heavily invested in it, so I'm going to back the losing horse as always. But yeah, so
Back
me
Numby.
going all in on that.
Told you the Stonks Trotter was where it was at.
The Stonks Trotter is free. I can back Numby any day I want.
I get another copy of Numby.
I've got 2 of those tokens. I could get me a Numby any day I wanted to revive my Fei Xiao team. Although I kind of like using Match 7th, so
I did see some poo-poo posts leak into my field of view once Numby became free. People were all of a sudden talking down about Numby, and I'm like, you know what? That little Stonks Trotter, despite not ever going on the right target, he's got me through so many tight spots.
But that really shows what their opinion is worth, though, right? Because the day previously they weren't banging on Stonks Trotter. It's just now he's free, they are banging on Stonks Trotter. Well, how does the method of acquisition affect its on-field power? It's definitely true that the follow-up team hasn't gotten a lot of love lately, but that doesn't mean you can't use it. It doesn't mean Stonks Trotter suddenly got weaker.
I mean, you may have to restart it a few times to get Stonks Trotter to go on the right target, but it'll still work.
That's always going to be the case. goes after the Sandai.
Probably.
No, my food buff.
I've been imprisoned.
My food buff is falling off. It's flashing. I was actually surprised that you get so much of a buff from the food. I expected them to be way more reserved. But I guess they don't. They know that people who are autistic are going to autistically farm mobs regardless, so it doesn't really matter how much of a buff you give to them. They're always going to have an autistic amount of resources. No, I've left a whole trail of echoes behind me. I need to get them. Because reasons. So yeah, Star Owl is currently about what's coming and what's rather than what currently is, because what is currently not very much. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, and then not really looking forward to the long wait before anything big happens. But I am very curious as to how they're going to solve all of these issues, though. Like, people seem to think that it's only touched Star Rail, but it's starting to become clear that the future characters in ZZZ have had their names changed to be less overtly Japanese. Like, in a lot of cases, there's not really any special reason why a character should have a Japanese name in ZZZ. Japan doesn't exist in ZZZ, as far as we can tell. So it's only for flavor that, oh, well, character like this type, most people will be familiar in pop culture with this character having a Japanese style name. So we'll give it a Japanese style name. Well, there's no need for that. So it's not going to sting them as much. Just changing a bunch of character names to be less Japanese sounding. And I mean, they can probably afford to spend a little bit less time glazing Miyabi as it is.
Yeah. Also,
Considering Autism Fox has remained like a top tier character for forever.
yeah, you can still hammer into any Deadly Assault lineup and do well on whatever team you hammer into.
More so, I need to. Like, if there's no Miyabi, I don't clear Deadly Assault. The ability to just have Miyabi solve the problem is the only reason I can ever get 9 stars. And I still have to really fight for it a lot of the time.
It's it'll be interesting to see how we transition from cyberpunk Japan to wacky inflatable wavy arm Cocolia land.
I think basing your entire expectations of Plan Arcadia off of one promotional shot is exactly what you were talking about being a bad idea earlier on in the show.
Yeah. But it's all I got right now. And I imagine
Yeah,
they're
we'll see what
not
they do. I mean, Sparkle likes to keep things interesting. That's sort of her shtick, really. But the silhouette, one of they showed the silhouettes, the promo silhouettes, like they often do as promotional tools. Um, the one that I suspected might be Himiko looks alarmingly like the Valkyrie version of Himiko. You know, the one that doesn't make it past the first act. So I feel like our Astral Express navigator is now in danger because the closer she cuts to being like her alternate self, the more likely it is that she's going to get killed off for drama. I don't think Welt can stomach that trauma a second time though. So
that's how we get the evil Welt storyline.
I mean, the whole reason why Welt became so attached to Himiko and Star Rail is because he feels like he basically failed Himiko in the Honkai Impact storyline. Not once, but multiple times. But yeah, we'll have to see where it goes. It's certainly not doing anything this week, though. That
Oh,
do be how it currently is.
Gonna get Welt, the Aeon of emo.
Urgh. These fish seem tougher than usual.
Oh, I haven't been doing the big card for stumps on them, just the Waffle Mal one shot them.
But yeah. ZZZ also not really doing very much. I did the Bamboo Chess last week, and it was Bamboo Chess.
There was the generic combat event with try and figure out Banyue enough to get the S rank.
Or not. Just auto combo with him. It'll be fine. But yeah, so ZZZ didn't really do that much of anything either. I don't like Bamboo Auto Chess. Like, I just don't. It's frustrating. And playing against other people is also frustrating because the only thing it depends on is, does somebody realize that they should pull Tycoon early, and do they get it earlier than you? Like, that's the only thing that matters. And the reason why it's the only thing that matters is that there's no strategic decision once they take interest out of the game. That's why interest was in the game originally, and it's why, other types of other games of that type have interest, and it's why interest is still a really important factor to play around in currency wars. They just took it out of this version of Bamboo Chess, so there are no decisions to make. This seems like a really poor decision that has been made simply to take the decision out of players' hands so that the players who don't care about the game mode and don't want to learn to play it can play it more easily. But that just means that anybody who did like it is going to have something they liked taken away, and people who don't like it at all and don't want to do it are going to be annoyed by it because they can't leverage what they do know to their advantage. So, yeah, all round terrible decision, just like Bamboo Chess from its very inception is a terrible decision. Not as terrible of a decision as Arpeggio Fault, but I still don't like it. But yeah, so
It's over
ZZ
with
not
now.
doing much of anything. Everybody's waiting for the next patch because they want to see if the story's going somewhere for reals or whether it's just acting like it is. So yeah. Oh man, this Havoc sphere is going to be the death of me.
Meant to make it like murdering stuff.
I've been here a while. It's not dying from my immunes.
Capture my way there, but that takes stamina, and while I'm stuck in combat, it doesn't reach in. Oh, I saw
I just keep knocking it down.
a Healy number.
I wonder if I can drown it. Is there enough deep water here that I? Oh no, it's not deep enough. Because that was always a neat trick back when I had no output power, and Genshin was to just find a body of water to kill things for me. Oh no, it can swim and I can't.
Oh, it died.
Did it die from something you did?
No,
From Frazzle or?
I put the circle down, but that doesn't do Frazzle. It just stuns it. Then it
Okay, so
drowned.
it drowned.
There's
Wait,
a
does
little.
that mean it has lungs?
It breathes through its butt.
It has a butt?
Prismatic butt.
No, those drop howler cores. I'm not interested in howler cores. Why does everything drop howler cores? Is it that everything drops howler cores, or does nobody use howler cores?
I think it's because little nobody uses Howler cores.
But yeah. Anyway, so on to Woowa. I mean, Woowa's not really doing much of anything this week either. There's just a few little mini events kicking about, which are all basically marketing for Lahai Roy. They did their stream, for their preview stream, which was long, but didn't really contain a huge amount of content. It was mainly along because of presentation reasons. Oh my goodness. Why Havoc?
Really, that same pack again, and you found another Havoc Prism?
It's not my fault.
Why do you love Havoc Prism so much?
Is there some deep water? Deep water.
I think the water on that side's deep enough. You gotta get it over the cars.
It's one down. Oh, no, no. I don't have the attack range. Come on, I need you to come a little bit further inland.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're here.
Oh, I got a stun ring down. If you knock him outside of it, it'll stay outside of it. Yes.
Anyway, yeah, so we were to their previews. There was nothing that I hadn't already seen in leaks, really, other than sort of like environmental tours and stuff. A little bit more explication on certain things, like the fact that the I feel like I'm wasting everybody's time by bringing this up, but because I am. But the Genshin people had been really upset at Linne because they said Linne was a knockoff of Mavuika.
Uh-huh.
And a knockoff of Shalonen as well, because Linne also skates. But the thing is that the motorcycle does not. While Linne does use the motorcycle for her intro attack, it's not part of her attack cycles. And the motorcycle is actually something that Rover has as a method of general transportation. Because you may remember that I said that I saw them commenting on stream that they didn't really want to keep doing the flying thing because it made area design too cumbersome, because everything has to be seen aerially and progress through aerially, and that sort of limits what you can accomplish from a presentation perspective.
Yeah,
It's
you
the
have.
same thing that the Blizzard people said back in the day. Remember when they limited flying in
Yeah,
uh,
it's a giant chain around the ankles of what you can design an area when you want to make it. When exploration is part of your game and you're doing exploring, it's real hard to come up with ideas to make exploring doable if everybody can just fly over, the terrain. Because you got to make traversing the environment interesting. But if everybody's just going to fly over it, then you've got a problem.
yeah. But the motorcycle is their way of doing this. So everything is built around sort of like road trips and scenic vistas that you see while motorcycling down the road, type of thing. Like a lot of the sort of area presentation is done in this way, and it is actually very appealing from what they've shown about it. Like it's a vibe. It's a vibe of its own. So yeah, I can see what they're going for. And the motorcycle has got its own sort of skill tree for upgrades and stuff that you can unlock doing various things. And it also, the livery of the motorcycle is customizable, and you unlock livery from various things. They said that they're planning to sell sort of like as sort of micropayments to support the game. They're planning to sell additional sort of patterns and things for your motorcycle in the store.
The important
Uh,
thing is, are they going to sell a tricycle for Carlotta so that she can actually fit on the bike?
why everybody's so mean? I saw a bunch of cartoons making fun of her height again this week as well. Where like it's a cartoon that it was a cartoon which was like several characters were part of it, and it wasn't about Carlotta. Carlotta just happened to be present, but in every situation, the only thing that you can see of Carlotta is the top of her head and her ahoge.
I see.
It doesn't matter who else is there. Like Phoebe is there standing on the same plane as Carlotta as well, and she's perfectly visible, but Carlotta's not.
Carlotta, she's so tiny. Taken after good old Charlotta in their height challengedness.
Forever pure. But but yeah, the so that also is probably going to be, because a lot of people are really confused about how the hell are they going to do this, because they announced collaborations. Well, collaborations have been announced with 3 titles that I know of so far. The first one was Cyberpunk, and it was rumored that there's going to be a playable character from Cyberpunk. The other 2 were Sonic and Persona 5, and jamming those in is a lot harder because the aesthetic is just not going to match. But
I really hope the Sonic one is just like a Sonic pattern for the bike or something.
yeah, that's what most people are suspecting, is that these are going to be minor collabs. Because there's nothing data mined about characters or anything. I have a Havoc Prism here.
There's
There's
no
nothing about uh, there's nothing to data mine about characters or anything for Sonic or for Persona 5. So it seems to me that it's quite likely that it's just going to be an unlockable livery for the bike. And there's also going to be like extra ones unlocked through the story. Like it's pretty clear from the previews that Linnae has her own sort of customized livery on her personal bike, and you'll be able to unlock that livery for your bike when you complete her sort of Archon quest, if you will. The main story quest section that focuses primarily around Grover's interaction with her, which will be the first half. Second half will be Mornier, and that seems to be how it's divided up. And it seems like they're going to stagger it time wise, though. Like the phase 1 banner is going to be Linnae, as well as Chiacona and Cartathea, and the first main scenario quest is going to be released in accordance with her banner, and then the second half will be released in accordance with Mornier's banner, where she's the featuring character. Not sure how I feel about that. I guess it really depends on how much there is to do.
The last several main story quests have been fairly chunky. So if they cut those in half and make them 3 weeks apart, that'll be fine.
Over the course of a patch, you're going to get the same amount of content in theory, and I guess that's fine, and maybe it will keep it fresher even.
Yeah, 6 weeks sometimes. If one half of the story doesn't click with me too well in these games for any given patch, the 6 week wait can make me just straight up forget stuff.
Yeah, so let's see what else. I mean, there's a lot of sort of just basically scenic shots and that sort of thing. Because it is a marketing exercise after all. I don't think that I saw anything that looked like really dramatic optimizations or anything. They do have kind of a tough row ahead of them for optimization, I think, because the issues with the RAM cartel have basically meant that most phone companies have dialed back their standard line to 4 gigs of RAM and their flagships from 16 to 12, simply because they can't source enough RAM at a reasonable cost to keep their actual unit prices competitive.
Yeah.
Which is going to make optimization really challenging for demanding mobile games like WoW. I don't know how much of the community actually plays on mobile. It's sort of hard to say.
WoW looks particularly bad on mobile from what I've seen on some phones. Like there's compare and contrast of like a PC player in the new area that has like escalators and modern tech around in the Japan section, and there's one guy playing on mobile and he's in co-op with his buddy, and the other guy's playing on PC. And on the PC thing, we know what PC looks like. We play. But the mobile guy, like the escalator isn't even moving, and when his friend is standing on it, they just like have no animation whatsoever and just glide down it, like the next best thing to T posing. A hit.
I'll take your word for it. I haven't seen it. Although what I have seen is that there are heaps of deliberately cooked footage clips going around at the moment from the big anti-Woowa campaign that the Genshin fans just waged.
Yeah.
I think there's something wrong with my game. I don't appear to be able to run up any walls at all anymore. It seems to have stopped working. Like entirely.
Have a client wig out moment.
It just goes into climb mode. Can you even turn off wall running?
I
I
don't.
need to find a wall, see if there's one I can run up. Nope, I can't run up any walls anymore.
Oh,
It
and
just goes straight into climbing mode.
the only way to fix it is to go back to title screen and come back in, or close the game and open it back up. Bring it out in
Yeah.
co-op.
Let's try it.
Pigs.
Yeah. Kill something that drops howler cores while you wait, because I don't need any more. um, let's see. Can I think of anything else of real import?
Oh, you were about to go on about how the Genshin community was acting towards the Wuwa
Oh,
community.
yeah, they started posting a bunch of like deliberately poor performance footage of Wuwa in order to make it look worse. They were like actively spreading this. I mean, realistically, Wuwa's performance on mobile is shite for most people, except for people who are running with like extremely top of the line phones. Um, but they were posting some pretty fried stuff, to be totally honest.
Yeah,
Like where they had deliberately thrown off the color balance and that type of thing.
yeah,
Because you can customize the shaders, right, in Wua, which is a pretty incredible feature that no other game bothers to include. Um, but yeah, they were basically posting really bad footage of Wua to make it look worse in order to try and stack the deck in their favor somehow. Don't really know. Like they seem to take this whole thing extremely personally.
I noticed a whole lot of people for some reason have started really putting a whole lot of weight on the Doritos Pope and his award show.
Well, I
Like,
mean, this is what the Doritos Pope has been angling for, though, right? Like, the past like years that he's been doing this has all been one big social engineering exercise to try and get people to care about his show.
yeah, like the flippin' the one piece of social media for the Game Awards I did stick my nose into was the Silk Song Reddit to see if we were how that particular cadre of mental cases was was handling only getting one award. Um, the answer was not well. There were like two people trying to be voices of reason in there, and they would even get a few upvotes, but they just could not break through that wall of people that were just thought this was the end of the world.
Wait, it just dropped me straight back into your game without asking.
Yeah, I saw you moving around, so I started going again.
It didn't ask me if I wanted to join co-op or anything. It just dropped me back into your game.
Yep.
How can they do so many things about co-op right and so many things wrong?
I wonder if it is just some kind of weird code issue, and they found that co-op isn't isn't part of the model worth investing in for a whole lot of people. Maybe they'll eventually work in a way to do more in it, because it really is unfortunate that basically all we can do right now is go get easy or go get treasure chests in the world and go murder stuff for basic farming in our friends' worlds and do like the equivalent of the normal bosses in Genshin or something.
But mostly ecological destruction,
Yeah, I mean,
genocide,
I
things
mean,
like that.
that's fun, but there's a whole bunch of other game modes where it'd be perfectly fine to let us, just do at least some of it in co-op.
Speaking of game modes, they are working on a new, basically, Stygian Onslaught equivalent for Wuwa as well, which is going to be boss centric. Though they didn't have much information to share about it, so I doubt that it's going to go live immediately, unless they've got a really ambitious development schedule, which maybe they do.
I got 1 out of 12 stars in the newest power reset. I took my primos from that and called it a win.
I've heard that the current reset is particularly vicious. I don't see me getting any stars because I just don't have any characters to work with that I built
Yeah, you
because
can't,
I haven't spent enough time on it.
because you gotta have enough trash characters. I'll call them your Calcharos and that to cut you through the baby
Filler.
tiers. Yeah, so you gotta waste them on that and try not to waste your legit characters.
Where am I supposed to get all the XP to do that?
Uh, yeah, that's something that's a zillion years off. The trash mob one is way more accessible and honestly kind of more fun than the boss kill one. I was
Except Carlotta doesn't really work there.
Yeah, the problem there is because of its nature, it's like pure fiction, right? So while it's fun and
Yeah,
all, it's yeah, you're just gonna get locked out
it's
with
got
some
pretty
characters.
specific team requirements.
Yeah, like I got a B, and I was very happy with that B and had to grind for it because I've got Phoebe and Zani. Like if Phoebe and Zani can't do it, then I'm screwed. They're literally
You
all
still
I
need
have.
3 teams for that too.
You only need 2 teams for the trash one, and they don't have the use limit mechanic.
Oh, thank goodness, because I deeply resent those. Like, please stop telling me not to play my characters. Like, that's something I deeply resent in video games.
Yeah, the trash fight thing was actually fun to try and noodle out. And for the very last node, you are given unlimited usage of whatever buffs you want. You have to ration buffs before that, but they let you just use whichever ones without consuming any uses for the final one, which was nice. So it's literally just do as good as you can. But you do need 2 teams for it. And the current wave, I did. What was it? Vizy, a level 70 Mortifi, and Galbrena on one side. I tried Encore, but I just couldn't weave her and Galbrena together. Encore does not synergize well with that at all. And the Sonny Phoebe Rover team for the other side. So functionally, we had one team. And managed to barely squeak out a B.
So I presume that means you cleared every stage up to the last one then, right?
Uh, I didn't get an S rank on them. In fact, I'm pretty sure I got a B on one of those. One of those too.
I haven't really attempted any of them, so I don't know. I don't know what it's like.
It
Is there a story mode version like there is for the towers?
Yeah, there's the baby tiers that don't have to redo every week. The ones that one
Yeah.
and done's. Yeah,
I
that
still need to work on my character. I've got most of my characters have got level 0 echoes, so I would need to spend some time smushing as you do.
yeah, at the stage our accounts are at right now, the problem we're going to run into, because the problem I ran into this week, in that stupid AOE one, is the 2 unfavored elements are Fusion and Spectro. And guess which 2 elements my account is heavy on right now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not that fussed about it. Like, if I really want to pull a character, I'll I'll just be a money person and pull it at this point. Well, I won't worry too much about that for the time being because, like, I'm entirely focused on pulling characters that I like, which is why I've got Shorekeeper and I've got Chisa. I have by chance Verena, and I'm planning to pull Mortier, and all of these characters are heal supports. None of them are designed for output. So I've already accepted the reality that I am not capable of any kind of whatchamacallit, damage output. Because Carlotta's it. Actually, can we hunt the red crystals so that
Oh,
because I've got one
you
and
need
I can't make any sonnets things.
Scatter Thorns, yeah. Tracker, and we'll just
The tracker only finds about 50% of the ones on the map, from what I can tell.
yeah, it started stock on them anyway.
Yeah, I've literally got one, I think.
All right, follow the Phoebe
But
for you to get to
yeah,
stock node.
so yeah, they're working on a new game mode. The I think that the the way that they sold it to me was reasonably effective in the sense of the overall patch, in that they just managed to make it seem like a really sort of both has the scope of adventure while also having a fairly cozy vibe to it. Um, it's pretty obvious to me that they were watching Index when they were doing the development. I mean, all you have to do is look at Booling's moveset, right? Have you tried it out yet? In the training mode?
Oh, yeah, I did. I don't remember it though because she's on the side of the banner I can't pull on.
This is actually one other thing that I'll mention here, which is not necessarily of benefit, but it can be of benefit in that when they release a new 4-star, they just put her in the shop to be bought for Coral. Like, not just her wave bands, but you can just buy new characters outright for the first 2 months after they come out
I
using
see.
Coral.
That's cool.
So
Doesn't help me after buying
her,
Phoebe. After buying
yeah,
Phoebe's
if you
third
want
wave
her
band.
and you've got Coral rotting, you can spend like, I think it's like 80 Coral or something, and just get the character outright, even if she's not on any banner you even want to pull on or anything like that. It's an option that's available, which is something that I think is nice. Those are Spectro, aren't they?
Yeah. I can't hurt those. Try really hard, but it's not going to do anything. Where are the
But
rocks? Rocks.
but yeah, so if you look at Booling's moveset, she's Misaka from Index. I mean, she's got all the sort of the goofy take on Taoist magic built in there as well, because it is a Chinese audience after all. But it's like she does all of the railgun poses and stuff. So, and then they explicitly refer to Star Torch as an academy city, straight out of Index, basically. So yeah, they've never been shy about referencing anything in this game, though. You're lucky if you can get any. You're lucky if you can get any achievements that aren't referenced to some other IP.
Yeah. The raw amount of Devil May Cry references in the Chivo list is even for me. I'm like, wow, guys, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, like there's a huge amount of like Fate references and Slayer's references and all kinds of references to basically any major title you could think of, and probably a whole bunch of niche ones I don't recognize as well. The like I got Magus Killer last night by accident when I was doing something. It's like killing enough of those Pocus Pocuses or something. But yeah, the whole thing looks very nice. I don't know what the sort of the size of the exploratory area is going to be or anything like that, but yeah, it's historically they've been pretty ambitious with the scope of their new areas, and like adding Septimont and the Septimont Plus part is significantly larger regional expansion than I was expecting, because Septimont is gargantuan.
Yeah, and that's good that it shows they can build wide like that. What I'm hoping with the bike and them removing flying, it will allow them to build more densely.
Yeah, my feeling though of Septimont, particularly, I felt this particularly strongly in Septimont. I don't know if there's a reason why Septimont specifically, is that I got a vibe a bit like Monster Hunter, like the new Monster Hunter, and that I didn't actually know how anything was laid out
Yeah,
because I was just going as the crow flies to every location.
yeah. I had a real. I would have a real hard time even flying around that map and going to everywhere to collect stuff, telling you what the flying fudge any landmark looks like. Like I can tell you a little bit of the plateau area because I spent so much time flying around that section. But the main area, forget about it. Outside of the main city, I don't have a clue. Hanging on for you. Reach.
Even too short. Yeah, I'm reasonably excited about it. It's a it's sort of like, with new areas, you have a sort of a reserved kind of excitement that comes from, well, I don't actually know what's going to happen here or anything like that, but
Yeah, we've also just number one, it's not novel for us to go to a new region, so our expectation in these type of games, we've played them long enough. And number two, we've been burned a few times, so it's natural for us
yeah.
to reserve our enthusiasm.
I mean, I want to like it. I sort of, I am amused by the idea of like the however many centuries or millennia old rover going back to school. It sort of amuses me. It's like this is. I'm not sure if this is sort of endearing or creepy, but uh, that that as a conceit is sort of like so obviously an anime style conceit, but it's still sort of like, well, this is well within the bounds of the sort of crap that they're going to pull in this game, obviously. So I don't object to it in any way, but it's sort of a fun thing that I didn't expect. That, oh well, actually, we're just going to straight up go and enroll in the academy, and it's going to be like a 3 X thing, not just like a one-off gimmick story like it was in Star Rail, where, oh well, this is just basically a cultural exchange event anyway. You're not actually going to do anything in the
Um,
academy.
we had a move, by the way. While you were killing that bear, your AOE destroyed the last few rocks and
Oh,
popped up my map over my screen. And while I was pushing buttons to kill the bear, I auto accepted the teleport prompt.
oh, okay. I've just sort of been flying in your general direction. Then I realize there's actually an ocean in the way.
Yeah, I was prompted to move on when Chisa's scan bopped the last bit of health off of those rocks. Uh, I was pushing buttons to kill a bear.
Yeah. So don't forget to get your whatchamacallits, your Esterites from the preview codes, and everybody has been blessed with 1600 Esterites for winning Player's Voice at the Game Awards and rustling the jimmies of the Genshin contingent. I don't understand why they can't just play both games. Why do they have to? Why do they have to hate on one? Doesn't make any sense. But they might be asking too much of them. Uh, Anything else worth talking about? I haven't really done much more in the terms of the pending Woowa events that I hadn't touched. Like I did Chiakonas a couple weeks ago, and I'm sort of just currently still bewildered as to why they didn't just do a story quest.
Well, because basically all it is. Like it's a story quest in function, if not just not in name.
Well, based on what they asked in the most recent survey, it sounds like they were using it as a test bed to experiment with the idea of having selectable options, but
Teleporting again.
they didn't really do anything. So
Yeah, those options didn't count for anything in the story. Like they were implemented so poorly. There's no way anybody could get behind that unless you could somehow read the developer's mind and see.
well, it seems like it's a dead on arrival idea because you can't have multiple outcomes because there's one canon for each character.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't really understand what they were trying to accomplish because it seems like it's sort of like impossible in principle.
all the ones.
But and I started the Orcs Must Die thing, but it takes so long.
It does.
My goodness.
It's another long gun.
As soon as I saw that, oh yeah, you need to do like endless mode like 4 times or whatever, and I'm like,
I managed to get away with only doing
I'll
it
come back to it
twice,
later.
but yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Like it just, I when I made my chart, I was still in the middle of doing that one, and did not quite appreciate just how long the later levels were going to take.
Yeah, I was a bit appalled at how long it was taking, and then I had sort of like a nightmare imagining of what it would be like to fail on the last stage or something, and how you'd have to do everything over. And I just sort of like felt so sickened by the thought that I didn't want to play anymore because it takes so long to get anything done.
Yeah, and
I'll go back and revisit it and polish it off in due time, but my goodness, it takes a long time.
yeah. Unfortunately, the other long form event, the stupid storyteller one, is just so lucrative for resources. It's worth it to suck it up if you need materials. Shouldn't just do it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's relatively low impact at least because you become overpowered. You said
Uh,
so.
it,
You don't
yeah.
you don't have to worry about doing it over because you know made one tiny mistake, which
Oh,
is entirely the case with the
don't
time of
worry.
events one.
Wait until you get to the end. Your controller lags, and you accidentally click the wrong dialogue option to get an ending, and you wind up not getting the ending you wanted, and you waste 30 minutes of your life twice in a row, like I did.
Good work.
Or on the last one, you have to sit there forever re-rolling it until you get Shorekeeper. It doesn't come from the shop, and if you don't get it from a random event, you can't get one of the endings. You can't get the ending
I
your
see.
can't, and of course you can't get the ending your first time through. So if you get it your first time, that doesn't count.
Which resources is it lucrative for? Is like leveling resources or
It's
materials
it's
or
got a bit of everything. It's got a little shop
I
that
see.
that has a bit of everything in it. It just because there are so many of them that got released, I guess, over early Renacita, they just there's just a ton of random crap in there that'll bolster your supply.
I'll get to it eventually. I still haven't cleared the more contemporary stuff, and it's not really that lucrative to do old events for asteroids because they usually capped at like 300 or something. So
Like not a super ton of asteroids. Gotta eventually go back and catch all the highest rarities of all the fish.
oh, speaking of, one thing that they did announce uh, at the for Laharai is an expansion to Peaks of Prestige.
No,
We're going back there.
I don't want to play Carbot anymore.
Well, I mean, there'll be new strategies, I guess, because they're introducing a whole bunch of new echoes. So presumably there will be strategies other than Carbot. But nevertheless, apparently in Star Torch Academy, Peaks of Prestige is a popular game. So
I saw the dudes in the preview playing it, and the preview quest playing it.
am I able to trap you in there?
Question: does it even work now that I dispelled the?
Probably not. Oh, we'll see.
Yep, I'm stuck in a box.
Lol.
Asteroids. Asteroids. 30
I don't have
Union
enough.
experience.
I need more asteroids. Where am I going to get more asteroids?
5 more asteroids.
Asteroids.
More Union experience.
How many more do you need to get to 70?
I'm 66. I am 10.5k out of 26k to 60.
Uh,
So, about another 2 weeks, I'll be level 68. I do my dailies every day. So you're looking at least a month of dailies. Oh, is there a bolt time? Ow! Came out of my old animation. He was still going because we're in multiplayer. I'm used to them
Does
stopping.
anybody use Fractitus masks?
I assume it's like one of the like 1.0 to 1.3 characters, or a few of them that use it. None of the characters I got use it. The only 1.0 characters I got are flipping Timu Sephiroth and Encore.
See, Ascension Planner. Let's see, skills. It's the easiest way to see it, probably. No, 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 no,
I'm going to
no,
go check if the door's
no,
closed because I hear the wind kicking up
no,
outside. So.
no, no. I can't find anybody who uses this. What type of material are they even? What do they count as? Frexidus masks. Are they used for anything by anybody? I can't even tell. I'm going through the Resonator planning list to see if I can spot them anywhere, but I am not able to spot them anywhere. They just don't seem to show up under any character. Do they have some other use? Is it a cooking ingredient? Like, I don't know. Maybe weapon? No? There's some weird weapons that need it. No, weapons are usually just unified by type, right? So if it doesn't use it on one character, it's not going to use it on anybody else either. It's got nothing to do with echoes, probably not skills. Because skills will always match the level up requirement ones, typically, as I understand it. So
Whereas
no, I have no idea what they're for. It
has been secured.
doesn't make any sense.
Playing with a cat.
I mean, Chisa do that sometimes, but I still haven't been able to work out what Fractious masks are for. It says Weapon Resonator Ascension and Skill Upgrade, but I haven't seen, like, going through the Resonator list, there is none on the planner.
No items can be crafted using Mask of Insanity. No resonators use Mask of Insanity for Ascension. No weapons use Mask of Insanity for Ascension. No resonators use Mask of Insanity for their skills.
Does anybody use them for anything?
According to the wiki, no. They're literally useless.
Well, you can convert them to other things, I guess.
I guess so. Maybe?
Are they a legitimate conversion grist? Conversion.
Yeah. You can make title residue with them.
Okay.
You can mush them into title residue and basic rings.
Right, okay.
Uh-huh.
So it's not completely useless, but only to the extent that anything else would be.
So yeah,
But yeah, I don't think I've got much else to say on the Wuwa. I think that's a potted summary. I'm looking forward to the next patch coming out on December the 25th at, what do they say? It's usually UTC +8 or something like that, I think. But I'm going to be really busy
Yeah,
over that period. Like, I have Christmas Day off for religious reasons, but I'm going to basically be working through the entire otherwise would be regarded as holiday period because there's not enough staff at work as usual. Unless I can wangle a day off by some other means, but I don't know. Everything sucks right now. It gets worse by the day.
I have Christmas Day and the day after off. But Christmas Day, I'm filled with family obligations that I don't do anything about. So I won't get to it till at least the next day. Ugh. Got the yawnies. But yeah, I don't know what I'll be doing the day after. Sometimes Christmas family obligations can double up. May have to go see other family or help people with other miscellaneous stuff that they'll decide to do.
You eat the turkey already. What do you eat on Christmas?
Uh, Usually we do ham for Christmas. Everybody's different.
Right.
Everybody's family has a different thing they do for Christmas. My family usually ham, big
I
meat.
think that traditionally in the Commonwealth you do goose. I think. I don't think I've ever had goose though. I did have duck one year.
Vera Scofier loves to tell me about how she's got her gooses on the loose.
Is that in fact the case? Because I don't listen to her in English, so
Oh yeah. Whenever you deploy her skill, she goes goose on the loose.
huh. I guess I never looked at the translation. I usually have the sound down quite low. So I was not aware that there was a goose on the loose.
Yeah, she's always telling
Her
Verisa about.
texts don't involve gooses in any way.
I don't know where it came from. But for Verisa, it's Justice O'Clock and all the other decisions. No idea how well close it actually translates, but yeah, I'll actually be talking a bit about some localization shoes I got that are less of the traditional type of shoe, but we'll get to that when we get to.
Well, we can go to your week because I don't think I've got anything else to talk about.
Okay. So do have a video game this week. Because as we mentioned before, the contingent of gotcha games are having mostly bye weeks. Although on that note, Georgia beat Alabama, and I have heard about it all week long.
Well, you heard barking at any rate.
Yeah, well, the barking was not angry barking. Chance of getting bit was much lower. So that was good. I had to pretend that I knew anything about football to at least one customer, and basically just use Matt's videos as my reference point for that conversation. Thankfully, it did not last very long, so I was able to eject from it pretty quick. So yeah, for those of you wondering, I think we posted a couple of them, but there's a dude on YouTube that makes videos about Southern stuff, and he loves his Southern college football, and he does a weekly recap video while football season's going on. And Vol has been watching them despite not knowing anything about American football, and especially not American college football.
It's very mystifying to me. Like most of the jokes, like I laugh because his delivery is good, but I don't like when he keeps saying "my sweet baby boy Diego." I have no idea what he's talking about.
There's a guy at Vanderbilt who I think is their quarterback, and For those that don't play American football, quarterback is the central position on the team that gets the ball hiked to them, and they have to throw it or run the ball down the field. And he's like in his 40s or something, and still in college ball. So that's what the joke is.
I see.
And also, Vanderbilt is usually such a terrible team. The fact that they didn't suck complete balls this year apparently has made all of America rally around Vanderbilt in a very
Isn't footy kind of old for an athlete?
yeah.
Let alone a college athlete?
That is my understanding of the situation. My understanding could be wrong because I don't know college football particularly well and only absorb it through osmosis. But that's what I've been able to infer from people talking about. So yeah, that's been ongoing. If you've been wondering about some of our jokes, uh, I might throw one of his videos in. You can listen to his Louisiana delivery and try and understand it. He's made a concerted effort to make Louisiana more understandable, and I kind of wish he wouldn't. But yeah. So um, I have been resuming my playthrough of the Yakuza games. Exactly 2 years ago. Like I stopped in early December of last year, or not last year, the year before. So in 2023. I put Yakuza 6 on hold and just stopped it. Stopped my playthrough of the Yakuza games because other stuff had come out that I wanted to play, and I had just gone through Zero, Kiwami, Kiwami 2, 3, 4, and 5 remastered, and 3, 4, and 5 remastered were all back to back to back. So I needed a Yakuza break. Wound up being a 2-year break, and I'm now getting back around to it. Because Yakuza is a semi-yearly franchise where we get one about every 2 years, and I'm starting to really fall behind. So wanting to keep up with that, I resumed my playthrough of 6. And 6, the other reason that I put 6 down is because 6 is an odd game. If you were to ask me to show somebody a game that is quintessentially a Yakuza game, that embodies everything a Yakuza game is expected to be, I would tell them 6 is probably that game. But at the same time, there's a lot of weird quirks with it because it's the first game in the Dragon Engine. Now, for those that don't know, RGG Studios, Ryuga Gokudo Studios, the people that make Yakuza and Super Monkey Ball, they developed an in-house engine after Yakuza 0 and Kiwami 1 to run the Yakuza games on, because the limitations of the previous engine they were using necessitated things like loading screens anytime you entered the building, and it couldn't handle destructible environments very well. And they needed something that could do that, so they made the Dragon Engine. And their first outing with it has quite a few quirks, and it's clear most of the dev time was spent with the developers getting their hands working with this engine. And some things especially the gameplay department, just kind of slipped. And you'll notice this immediately when you go to when you pick up an item on the ground. Now, normally in Yakuza, you can grab random junk around the environment and beat down people with it. Yakuza is more of a beat 'em up game than an action game when it comes right down to it. You're not doing super intricate combos here. You're doing a basic attack string, and then depending on when you push the finisher button in that string, you'll get a different finisher. And the only ability that has any kind of execution requirement is the tried and true Tiger Drop. So yeah, when you pick up a random item, you'll notice it has 3 durability. And you're like, that's odd. This is a lamp post, and it's got 3 durability. Normally these got like 8 or 9. And you'll pick up a knife, and it's got 3 durability. You'll pick up a gun, and it's got 3 durability. And by the way, that durability can be expended by shooting a single bullet. You'll use 1 durability, or whacking somebody with it, which will also expend one durability. So you'll notice that, and then you'll start running around the world, and you'll bump into stuff a lot in the Dragon Engine because the movement isn't quite as nailed down. It's still functional and fine and feels okay to play, but you do wind up taking some wide turns if you're just uh, sprinting through Kamurocho or Hiroshima, and or Onomichi, I guess, is the town outside of Hiroshima where you actually are. And yeah, you'll wind up in a bumping into stuff like a random traffic cones and bicycles and junk on the side of the road, and it's like everything is made of helium. Like it'll just destruct from you gently tapping onto it, and if it doesn't destruct, it's going to go flying. And this has another interesting effect that necessitated them to turn off a feature of the engine for the PC version. Uh, because it was causing too many issues and breaking the game. Like, literally breaking it. The ragdoll in the Dragon Engine by default is just too powerful.
I see.
It's when something goes ragdolling, it will really go ragdolling, and its limbs will turn into spaghetti and go flying everywhere. And of course, bodies get more priority than objects in the environment. So this means that anything in the ragdoll's way when it's flying is a goner. It's not going to win that fight. So yeah, the ragdoll effects would just literally destroy everything. So if you needed something in the environment after a random fight with some street thugs, and you sent one boomeranging the entire way down Tenkichi Street, which would happen on the PC version because of the higher frame rates, uh, you were just kind of screwed and would have to reload the map. So what they had to do with the PC version was they had to disable the ragdoll effect in random encounters, where now when you beat up a random thug, instead of their corpse ragdolling, to wherever it goes, presumably the hospital, because Kiryu doesn't kill anybody, you see. No matter what your eyes tell you.
Very charitable guy.
Yeah. They just kind of freeze like a quarter of a second into the ragdolling effect starting up, and then they despawn. in what is almost funnier than ragdolling in the way it looks sometimes because of the awkward poses they get stuck in. Now the other shoe with Yakuza 6 also relates to gameplay, and that is because they were spending so much time getting the engine working, there just aren't as many of the small mini games around in this one. And their big mini games have suffered quite a bit in Yakuza 6 because they're all very, very boring. Like, they have the spearfishing mini game, which is a rail shooter. And they overtuned the requirements on it to make you have to do it for 7+ hours after you've already beat it to get the final award for it, because at most you can get like 25,000 points per run of the hardest course, assuming you play it perfectly, which is really hard to do. And you need 986,000 experience to cap out your level. So it takes like 50 runs to get it, and you'll finish the story for it after 3 runs. So good luck with that, because each run of that course takes 6 to 8 minutes. So that's a bit of a pain in the butt. The other one, Clan Creator, got more fleshed out in Kiwami 2, where it was or basically where they actually finished it. But in this, it is just their attempt at a pseudo RTS, where you drop units on the board and they go auto battle a preset formation of enemies. and they have a singular skill you can activate, and you can kind of sort of influence their direction, and you can drop random mooks, uh, or you can drop leaders who cost way more of your resource that builds up over time, or when you kill enemies, and they'll have special powers. But it has very little engagement going on here. Like, it's just not a very engaging game mode in 6 at all. In fact, what I recommend you do, and I did this after, the first several rounds of this because it was taking forever. There just is no depth to this minigame in this one. There are a whole bunch of codes you can punch in to get downloadable characters for free. Nowadays this kind of thing would be DLC, but we weren't quite that corrupt when Yakuza 6 came out in 2016. We were still on our way there. So no, just through promotions and stuff, they would reveal codes that you could punch in to get like SSR, the Kazuma Kiryu, to make everybody invulnerable for 10 seconds with his skill that one shots everybody and stuff, or a Nakayama that makes it so you can't be knocked down for the 10 seconds after he activates his skill, or a Daigo that just instantly refunds his own cost times 2 levels of busted. So you just load your roster up with these guys and just can get it done real quick and just see the story of it, because that's all you're really there for. It's not a very particularly interesting story, but it's a Yakuza story. It's got the dumb melodrama with it. And there's a trope in the Yakuza games where the big mini game will have a very video gamey story, for lack of a better term. And you'll usually have to fight some variant of the elite number of dudes that are all working together with the big bad for the event. It's very silly. That one I'm gonna go check. I haven't.
Not expanded yet.
Unable to interact in co-op mode. What is BS? Why this one?
No.
Why this one in particular?
Maybe it was designed at a different point in time. I
don't know. So yeah, so there's some gameplay shoes. The shoes kind of continue, and that the main gameplay for the combat engine has a few quirks they haven't ironed out yet. And from what I've seen in remember from Kiwami 2, they did iron most of these out. And in the follow-up game, Judgment, they really have ironed them out, and it feels way, way better already. And I barely have any upgrades in that game. Just booted it up today. But the biggest problem is they did not scale the combat appropriately, and they made it so that on the difficulty scaling, you have easy and normal, which are functionally game journalist mode because everything dies in 2 hits, or you have hard mode where stuff just likes to randomly block all the time, but has an acceptable level of health. And this is made worse by the fact that they lean very heavy into RPG leveling mechanics in this one. So combat balance is practically impossible, because if you like to complete stuff and do side activities, you're just going to be busted. So the only way they can make hard mode harder is by making the enemies block more. Trying to get him, he's not cooperating. Hang on. There he goes.
There's a whole bunch of echoes that appear to be dabbing down here that I'm going to pick up.
So the first problem with the combat engine is when you get into a random encounter, whichever enemy is closest to you has priority on attack and will attack before you can. So you basically need to be holding down the block button to take that hit. And the next problem with it is because the aforementioned random blocking on hard, because if you play on anything that's not hard, you're just going to one-shot everything if you do any kind of completion elements. You're stuck in an awkward position where you don't want to do the normal beat 'em up combos with Kiryu because they don't get you very far. Instead, what you want to do is do the running double dive kick or double kick. And this is basically the only non-equipment move you could do. And now this would be able to be fixed up a bit and not feel nearly as jarring if the random junk in the environment had more than 3 durability. so you could actually use it to clobber people. But everything's got 3 durability. You can hit a dude 3 times with anything. Doesn't matter what it is. And this is a problem. so so yeah, that's where we're at with the gameplay there. The main story is the most. It's not the worst Yakuza story. There are some good moments in it,
Because it's
but
not about rubber bullets.
yeah, we don't have the rubber bullets twist. I'm not really going to recommend this game, so I am going to spoil it. I think at this point it's been a decade. People have had time. The twist in this one is the secret of Onomichi, this town that Kiryu's going to, and well, there's a double twist. The first, the game's premise is set up because Haruka does something incredibly stupid at the end of Yakuza 5. And they made her do something stupid because she was a Purity Sue before this. They needed her to not be perfect. So they made her make the most colossal personal F up possible to ruin her own life and those of everybody else around her. Where in Yakuza 5, she is pursuing her career as an idol, as was foreshadowed throughout many of the games, becomes successful, plays at the Gucci Burr Dome, uh, of Camarocho, and during her debut performance, uh, takes a second to tell the whole world how much she loves her Yakuza daddy Kiryu.
What is she? Has she historically been presented as a complete retard in the story?
Uh, Not that dumb, but she was a Purity Sue before, and this was the overcorrection of the century where they missed the mark so hard by fixing this in the wrong way. Yakuza 5 is also the game that introduced rubber bullets. So we now have this mess to clean up with Yakuza 6's story. So in a way, I do know the writing team was a bit different for Yakuza 6. So their solution to this is, well, the blunder's been made at this point. The only thing we can do is lean into it and how much this cocked everything up. So Kiryu has to go to jail for 3 more years because of the events of Yakuza 5, as they kind of contrive an excuse for it because they don't always, pursue legal action when the Yakuza do things, but this time they just do. To get Kiryu out of the plot for 3 years, to allow Haruka to have to move away from the Morning Glory orphanage that she's helping run with Kiryu. Because her doing that has brought the paparazzi to that orphanage and is hampering their chances of success when one of them gets offered a baseball scholarship. So, oh, got Spectros. I don't have a way to pull them. But yeah, so Haruka has to leave, and she doesn't tell anybody she's leaving aside from the oldest girl there, and she doesn't tell her where she's going. So we're now 1 year into Kiryu being in jail. Throughout that year, she finds her way to Onomichi, a city on the outskirts of Hiroshima, and meets up with the people of that town and the local small Yakuza outfit, really small, like it's 4 dudes, and 3 of them are derpy idiots, and one of them is the patriarch, who is an old man that just likes to sit in his room watching TV drinking. And seems like just your kind of cheerful old grandpa type, not really Yakuza when you first meet him. Haruka got with one of them and started dating him and got pregnant with his kid. And
Making a lot of retarded decisions here.
yeah. So then, instead of telling him that she was pregnant and that they needed to figure this crap out, she instead runs away from town, decides to keep the kid. So the kid doesn't know he's a dad. They're both like I think 18 or 19 at this point, so they're technically adults in the most very technical sense. But still, young dumb kids. And so instead of doing the adult thing and telling the father of your child you're going to keep the baby and he's the daddy, you just skip town.
What could possibly go wrong?
Why she does this is never elaborated on. Kind of the biggest writing gaffe in the whole everything. But she has the kid, and for a year raises this baby by herself with her getting some stealthy support from the patriarch of that small yakuza outfit and a few other people she met in Onomichi. And she goes back to
Does he
Kamuro.
know who the father is?
Yeah, he knows. He's 100% aware who the father is. There are butterflies.
But isn't the father one of his goons? Why didn't he say something?
Yeah, you'll find out later, and it's we get into good old what the fuck levels of melodrama because we got to have everything be connected into the overarching secret of Onomichi at the end of this. It gets really dumb, and I love every second of when Yakuza gets this stupid. And it's not retconny rubber bullet stupid. It's just regular Yakuza stupid, which I'm all for. So Haruka goes back to Kamurocho when Kazuma's getting out of prison, and one of the dudes associated with the Chinese triad group that's in Kamurocho, um, was was working undercover at the for the Yakuza Omi alliance that that small time group was a part of, and he was ostensibly helping Haruka once she got into town, and he knew who the kid was. Now, the reason this is important is because the guy that knocked Haruka up has is the heir to the triad gang in Kamurocho for the Chinese, and he doesn't even know he's Chinese. That's
I see.
how levels of reveal we're going here because he's one of the undocumented children when some his parents had a child. He was the child outside of the one child policy, so he got smuggled to Japan so that he could have a chance at a life. So now now the triad's after her because the uh, the baby is half Japanese and can't have their pure bloodline being tainted by them dirty Japanese according to the triad. There's no way Big Lo will have his grandchild be half Japanese, so they go and they try and kill Haruka and the baby by running them over with a car. And this puts Haruka in a coma, but the baby gets out okay. She manages to keep the baby safe through the car crash that hits her while she's on the road, standing there. Don't worry, the baby's got Kiryu as a surrogate spiritual grandpa. It probably rubbed off something. That is just what I'm calling it. So so yeah, Kiryu gets to town, finds out Haruka's in a coma, doesn't know what's going on, finds out she has a kid, and that some thing in Onomichi probably has to do with it. And so he goes there, has to figure out who the daddy is, and in the process figures out that the Chinese triad was in cahoots with the Chinese government to smuggle children over, uh, like uh, like the one that's the heir to the triad itself, for the explicit purpose of building a Yamato Mark II battleship that is the successor to the Yamato in secret underneath the tiny port town of Onomichi. And the reason they needed these kids was because they're undocumented, have no where to go anyway, and can be easily disappeared. And it just gets more ridiculous and dumb from there until eventually we find out the Tojo is somehow involved and Kiryu has to go punch some people.
Why do they need it? Why do they need it? A second Yamato?
The story goes that before the Disarmament Act was brought into full effect on Japan, Japan was one of the politicians wanted one for national self defense because they thought they would need it badly. But when the disarmament came through, this little secret project they've been working on, well, can't do anything with it now and can't let anybody find out about it because $1 gazillion of money was functionally laundered to make this thing. So he wants it destroyed, but the Omi Alliance decides to keep it around, just underwater, hidden away as leverage against him and his political allies throughout the years that if you ever don't do what the Omi want, then we're going to reveal this thing to the world and your careers are going to be ruined. So that's the very abridged version of it. They go into a whole lot of very in-depth detail, most of which I wasn't even able to actually follow because I don't know most of the laws and stuff they're pinning.
I don't really understand either because like I think that the Japanese have like the third largest navy in the world or something.
Yeah,
Like because American shipbuilding capacity has collapsed outside of China, Japan is basically the world leader in naval military.
yeah. So this was this is just what we're doing for this story. Okay, but the way you have to find this out is you have to go to Onamichi, and after you found out all the secrets of everybody, and Kiryu has punched the kid that got with Haruka through a glass door and told him he needs to act like a real man and be a dad now, or he's gonna actually break his rule and murder him. You go and go to this random ass barge out in the middle of the ocean where they normally store cargo, and with the gang of twerps from the tiny yakuza outfit in town, punch your way through about 300 guys, plus some mini bosses and an actual boss. And then by pulling a random lever inside this place, just makes the entire ocean in the front of this barge just part like Moses at the Red Sea, and this colossal battleship rise up in the most WTF over dramatic way possible. So, is the story good? Probably not. But it gets so dumb and ridiculous that I don't really care. And that's kind of what you sign up for with Yakuza stories. Usually the main story is a little more grounded than this and makes a little bit more sense. But you're playing a Yakuza game. So I don't really feel like docking that many points for it. I mean, I did not like the rubber bullets convoluted twist and nonsense because it hurt established characters. This is big, dumb, and over the top, and makes no sense if you think about it for too long. But that's all fine. It doesn't do anything to hurt the characters that in the universe that's already established. The Yakuza series is already dumb, over the top, and melodramatic, with all kinds of contrived coincidences to connect every character. That's what we're here for. That was on the ticket. And I've seen a lot of people hate on this story like it's the worst Yakuza story of all time. I'm like, fine. What did you people think you were signing up for? So yeah, that's Yakuza 6 in a nutshell. It's a game that has problems, especially with its gameplay, but is for all the stuff I mentioned about it that's very weird and over the top or just doesn't work with the gameplay systems. Taken as an entire package, it is probably the best example I could give of when somebody is like, "What's a Yakuza game?" I could hand them Yakuza 6, and if they managed to play through the whole thing, they would get it. Or they would at least get the full experience. They may not get it, they definitely won't get it, but they'll get the full experience of a Yakuza game. Like, all the Yakuza parts are there. But it's clear where they just had time to get all the parts there instead of get them working quite right. Because yeah, that
Are
early
they
Dragon
planning to
Engine
remaster
shoes.
all of them?
I don't know if they will remaster 4 and 5. They definitely won't be remastering 6 anytime soon because it's already on the Dragon Engine. Or rather, they did remaster 3, 4, and 5, but they're remaking 3, and that's what's coming out with a full Kiwami remake in the new engine. 3 is as a complete package my least favorite Yakuza. It has a lot of problems that total up to even bigger than Yakuza 6's minor problems. 4 is fine. It's a good, solid Yakuza game. I enjoyed my whole way through it. I like the dumb main story. In it's a good time there. 5, I really enjoy. Its big problem is one that's not a problem at all for a single player game, and there's a lot of stuff to do. It's a very fat game. Uh, but uh, but yeah, I 4 and 5 could maybe stand to have the Kiwami treatment, just to iron off some of the rough edges and give them a prettier coat of paint. But they're okay as is. 3 definitely needed it, and I'm curious to see how much of that game they're going to fix with Kiwami 3 slash Dark Ties. Because the the entire combat engine needs to be overhauled in that game. Which, given that it's a Kiwami game, usually that's a given, but we'll see. And because the combat engine in 3 is horrible. Like the blocking I was complaining about in hard mode of 6 is nothing compared to what it is in Yakuza 3. Even on easy difficulty, it is a struggle to land a single hit against enemies because for some godforsaken reason they use the same combat AI that they did with the original Ishin, not the remake that we got a couple years ago, but the original Yakuza Ishin, which is set in Warring States period, where all the characters have swords and guns, so it made more sense for them to be a little more block heavy. But they just kept that same block heavy nature in a game where Kiryu's just got his good old Kiryu's lefty and righty. You don't have a gun and sword in that game, and there are pacing issues out the wazoo in that one, because we get introduced to the entirety of Kiryu's orphanage and all the kids living there, and they're going to be central to, not central to, they're central to that story, but they'll be referenced here and again throughout the other games, and they just eat so much time going into each individual one and grinding whatever story thread you were following to a halt whenever you do. Like it's got shoes. The sub stories are also some of the weaker ones. But it does have one of the best final bosses. So I'll give it that. In fact, I think the entire Dark Ties side of the Kiwami thing is following that final boss's story and how he got to where he is. Because yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, that's 6. Um, I do not recommend doing a completion run of any of the Yakuza games unless completing things is something that just tickles your autism. Obviously, 6 in particular has some. If you look at the achievement list in terms of difficulty, it is probably one of the easiest ones to do in terms of execution. It just has a whole lot of grinding in it. Like the Mahjong Chivos are some of the easiest out there. The clan battle thing, as I mentioned before, is a total cakewalk. Even if you don't use the cheat code method I mentioned before. The spear fishing is not hard. You can't actually lose it unless you just AFK it.
The giant squid.
Yeah, he's the first boss. You have to fight the level with the giant shark to get the most points, but getting maxing out the award list in that one is just too much monotonous grinding, even for me who usually stomach monotonous grinding when I feel like doing other. Um, but yeah, there are, however, no cheat items for mahjong in that game. Lies. So that might turn some people off because they have after Zero they started introducing cheat items a lot of the time for like shogi and mahjong whenever they got implemented, so that people could fill out the completion list if they didn't actually want to engage with it. But there are no cheat items in Yakuza 6, so you do have to actually get your wins legitimately. Spectro. Stamina. Save me from the Spectro monster. So yeah. And the next game in the list is Yakuza Judgment, or just Judgment. This doesn't actually. It's not actually called Yakuza Judgment, but the but Judgment is such a generic name that if I don't call it Yakuza Judgment, I feel like people won't know what I'm talking about. And that's the game I started today, which is them finally getting their hands on the Dragon Engine and making it work. Now, everybody that plays Yakuza games and actually likes Yakuza games for being Yakuza games says the Judgment series is like the best the series has ever done. Like it is the peak of all of the games in terms of storytelling and both storytelling and gameplay. Like everybody loves the Judgment series. Curiously, I don't see anybody outside of people that play Yakuza talking about the Judgment series. It has had no outside of franchise purchase at all. Like nobody knows who Yanagi is. Unless you know somebody that plays Yakuza, you probably never heard of the Judgment games.
Well,
Like
it's not like they've ever been much good at marketing them.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finally going through those, and that will get me technically after the first Judgment, Yakuza 6 comes out, but I think I want to do both Judgments back to back. And then I'll go back and do Yakuza 7, which I had played halfway through on PS4 and then quit. And that will get me just to Gaiden and Infinite Wealth. And when I get to Infinite Wealth, you can go visit Coco, because Coco's in that game, runs a bar or something. And the thing I was foreshadowing earlier, talking about localization. So with Judgment, we got the beginning of the Yakuza games getting an English dub. And I looked at the cast. Okay, Yongya's not in Judgment, and the Judgment production studio was entirely different for the voice actors from what would eventually come in Yakuza 7
you
onwards.
See, the thing is, there is exactly one thing that will forever be associated in my mind with English adaptations of Yakuza, and it's Yongya.
Yeah. So here's what we got for Judgment and its shoes. So you got some decent voice actors in there. We got a guy I probably should recognize the name, but it's not coming to me, for Yanagi, and you got Crispin Freeman for the backup guy, the best bro type character, and that's all cool and well. And they seem to give genuinely good performances for the little bit I turned the dub on, but I noticed something was off immediately. And that was justified when I flipped it back to Japanese, because they did not have any budget in Judgment for redoing lip flaps. And this has meant that they appear to have made a genuine effort, but I think they have failed at it spectacularly in keeping the same tone of what's being said and the same context of what's being said, but having to shorten the word count to fit a Japanese speech pattern because they cannot adjust the cutscene length or lip flaps at all. And this is makes some of the lines in English really, really awkward. So, unfortunately, despite the performances seeming like they could be pretty good, that rewrite is just terrible in a lot of cases. And thankfully, when you flip it back to Japanese audio, the subtitle track is for the Japanese audio, not the English dub. So you're able to get the story as originally intended, because there's a very specific tone that Yanagi is going for. Like the down on his luck detective who still, despite everything bad happening to him, is doing his best to muster his confidence and look like he knows what he's doing, so that he can still get work and intimidate, the poor guy that's spending all the money he owes the Yakuza on horse races. But that tone is really, you can have the actor able to project a speech sound close to that, but you're not able to get it across properly if the dialogue has been rewritten to lose a whole lot of the punctuation in it. Like at the very end, when the horse race dude is freaking out, like "I'll sue you," and Yanagi pulls out his attorney badge, and in in the English he says something really boring in response, but in the Japanese he says that would be a really bad idea in a very intimidating way to this dude that's down on the ground, and it fits his character way better. I don't even remember what he said in English when I looked up the line because I went and checked the cutscene later, but it did not fit at all. So yeah, despite the dub for Judgment getting praised for its performance, and I'll back from what I heard, the performance seems fine. The rewrites are too much. You're losing too much of the character in switching the dub. As usual, the Yakuza games, they are always better subbed, and that's just the nature of that beast. 7 and 8 could have potentially had okay dubs. Maybe. I still would have played them in Japanese because Yakuza. But, and they even had time to redo the lip flaps.
The idea of playing a Japanese gangster game in English seems kind of weird.
Yeah. But, unfortunately for them, they hired Young Yeah. And so I'm going to encourage people not to touch that on principle. Uh-oh. Got a Spectra, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
If you have not
Why?
if you have not had your ears damaged in the last little bit and just feel a need to hurt yourself, um, you can go check out Young Ye's performance of Judgment in the karaoke section, where you have what he thinks is singing going on.
By breaking the law.
Like, I don't. If I was a voice actor, I am well aware that I would have to go up to the people who organize my contracts and be like, look, if you need me to sing, you're gonna have to hire a second voice actor. It ain't gonna work.
Well, I guess they figured it was karaoke. It didn't matter.
Yeah, the only problem is that Kiryu's actually really effing good at karaoke.
This is an important fact in the canon, is it?
It is actually.
I mean, that was a serious question because it's the sort of thing that would be important in Yakuza.
Yeah, like Vol was watching little snippets of me playing through 6, and like I'm doing a sub story where this girl is claiming that she leapt through time and sent her brain back to before her parents had some terrible accident. It's when it's Yakuza, you don't know if she's just a little crazy girl in town that's just doing a bit, or if maybe this girl really did jump back through time. You just don't know. That's part of what I love about these games is anything is possible in the story. It's just whatever the writers were smoking that day. Maybe they were doing shrooms and getting all emotional. Maybe they popped some PCP and went on an acid trip. Like maybe they did cocaine and just wanted to really, really make the most autistic thing in the world. Or maybe, they just smoked weed and wanted to make a chill out normal story. It all depends on what drugs they had. Might be showing my colors of living in Atlanta too long with that one. Anyway. So yeah, I'm excited to get back into Yakuza because even if a Yakuza game has problems. Even if a Yakuza game is bad, it will always only be a section of the game that's bad. And there's always so much diverse gameplay in a Yakuza that it does not really matter if any one or two sections fall flat, even if they're the main parts of it, like the combat or the main. Because there's plenty of other game there for me to play. The games are built on their mini games and their side stories. There's like 50 side stories and a grillion billion mini games. And Judgment seems to have returned the minigame count. And from what I understand, Lost Judgment in particular is infamous for its minigames because of Puyo Puyo and how difficult it is. Oh, that's in Yakuza 6 too, by the way. And I did not find it very hard, but I am practiced in Puyo Puyo from playing Ibu in Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. If you are not practiced in Puyo Puyo, I can see how the particular requirements they have are rough. Where you have to beat 25 opponents in a row and then continue beating opponents as the difficulty continues to increase back to back to back while your board stays the same until you happen to randomly get the super opponent and then beat them. All while playing on the same game board the entire time. Whenever the one opponent tops out, they disappear and are replaced by. Hang on, I got a rock. What? Well, gypped. Until they're eventually replaced by the super opponent and you beat that too. So yeah. And Judgment so far feels really good in the combat to play. I do not have very much unlocked, and Yanagi only has 2 styles right now. I don't know if that's going to stay. I know there's more than 2 in the sequel. But he has Crane and Tiger right now, which the game bills as one of these is for dealing with crowds of enemies, and one of these is for dealing with strong single target people. But I don't know how true that's going to hold. Because right now I've been using Tiger for everything because it's got a whole lot of pause combos in there that are a lot of fun to execute, and you can charge the finisher on them, like a weird combination of what's a good example? Like it definitely has some classic Beowulf from Devil May Cry built in there with its charged finishers, but at the same time, it's got more free flowing pause combos, like something like Red Queen in Nero's weapon in DMC4. And it's a really fun style to use. And Crane style has a whole lot of funky acrobatic crap that I'll definitely experiment with and try out. But it's going to take a bit more getting used to because it does stuff like you run up walls. Whenever you're sprinting at a wall, you'll automatically run up it, and then you can flip off of the wall and do finishers, and you can do things like springboard off of enemies' heads with it. So we have enemies step in a Yakuza game despite still not having a jump button. So
Does
that's
he
that.
ever kill anybody?
I don't know with Yanagi yet. I've just met him. I've remained completely unspoiled for what his character arc and story is so far, and I have not looked into it. I'll be figuring it all out fresh. What? Oh, by the way, just talk to this random spot. There's a treasure chest that just appears.
I see.
Like that one in Mondstadt you couldn't find. Oh, I got my old card juice.
Man, I'm gonna have to clean up my echoes, aren't I?
Mm-hmm. Remember when I took about 2 hours to do that? It took me 4 Ucky Never.
But how do you even know what you should clean out? Like, you can change the whatchamacallit, the affixes. So
Yeah. Find out where they are in the database. Not in the data bank. Oh no, it's under resonators.
I still have nearly 1,000 slots. I've only got 2,025 echoes rotting in my inventory.
Somewhere, and I'm trying to find it, is a way to view your your lock rules for echoes, and I was going to just send
Oh,
you the ones.
you press the start button to see echo management under data merge in databank. That's where that option is.
Okay, yeah. I just set up a whole bunch of rules for the very most basic stuff I keep, like uh the frost sets, the 3 costs that have frost damage on them, 3 costs that have fire on the fire damage, etc. for all elements of a specific type. Anything that's attack at 1 cost I've kept on any set. Rejuvenating glow, I'm told to just keep everything with HP percent, attack percent, crit rate, crit damage, healing bonus, and energy regen. Then for 4 costs, I've told it to save everything that's crit rate, crit damage. And then anything that doesn't fit those parameters, well, something that fit the parameters probably wound up in there from mass farming. So I'll just there's butterflies. I'll figure it out when when I get there. Because echo farming is not limited in this game, and over the course of about a week, you can take multiple attempts at trying to get echoes with the correct stats you want. I'm not too fussed about keeping echoes that we need. They seem to be very generous with the echo re-rollers for stats, and as long as you only use those on like the 3 costs, and maybe don't even really need to use them on the 4 costs because you can farm those. You
Use
can,
them on everything. There's enough of them to just use them on everything that you want.
yeah.
Especially if you've got bad luck like me and only roll defense on anything ever.
Uh,
Is it? Oh, you're gonna ruin the co-op.
oh, I am gonna ruin the co-op.
Ruin it. It's gonna be ruined.
Oh, are we already broke? Yep. Yep, it broke.
Why you gotta ruin things, man? Always ruining.
Oh, stay there. I will return. Because there's Union EXP and asteroids in there, and I got a character, a weapon, and hopefully a second character if I can scrounge up enough for it. Go for. I've made very good progress. I did buy the discount packs for this week, or this this I think this week or this month for the asteroid plus some pulls just to get them because I'm gonna be pulling a crap load during the next banner cycle. Basically, making a slightly bad decision now to hopefully prevent myself from making a colossally bad decision later down the line. That is the sensor. That is not the shoot. There we go. Yeah, it just brought me back into the game. Brought me right back here. So that leaves me sitting at
Billion.
25,000 25.8k astrite, 35 pulls on character, and 32 pulls on weapon. And no coral. I haven't pulled any time. So I'll definitely be able to get Cardathea. Will likely be able to get her weapon pretty easily, and should have enough for at least attempts on Chiacona. Probably enough to get her. if I get my Cardathea really, really early, like she comes on the next 10 pull instead of flipping Timu Sephiroth, uh, I'll be good in the hood
I
and
was
be
going to
able.
say that's the real question: is how many Timu Sephiroth wave bands are you going to have by the end of the next pulling spree?
Well, we're at we're not at guarantee, but we're at 50-50 with the next 10 pull. So it basically the first 10 pull I make on the next banner set is going to determine how good everything's going to go because it could go really bad.
It could go Timu Sephiroth.
Or it could go really really good and we could get Kent or Carthea on first pull. Too many goddamn seasons game. Oh, that was very awkward. Kind of moon slid on the wall instead of grabbing it. So yeah, don't really have much else to say about Judgment right now. It seems to be just chock full of mini games, and I've heard that Lost Judgment, its sequel, is insane with how much it has packed into it. Stupid turtle! I'm trying to go help him fight those mobs, and you are doing your best to do the catalyst targeting thing. So yeah, um, that's all I got for stuff that I've really done this week because last night was when I did the majority of the Yakuza 6 catch up. The rest of this week has been very volatile in whether or not stuff was doable. Some days were a good chunk of free time, and some days weren't. It just comes with the Christmas season. People are there are two types of people that, or rather, two types of customers at Christmas. There's the get everything in at the last minute and overwork me to death types of people, and then there are the people that are taken off for Christmas because they already got me everything. So some days I had got people pestering me nonstop about stuff because they need to get stuff done before Christmas, and some days we've got people that are just all on break, and I don't have very much to do except general housekeeping stuff. Heck, hey. So yeah, that's all I got. Yakuza's is happening. Work is volatile. The gotcha games are all for me mostly. They're going to be in a holding pattern for a while. Because Wu was the one I'm looking forward to with characters coming out the most, and the one that has the next region coming out excited about. But that's still 2 weeks off, and then Genshin. I'm gonna try and get C1 on Barisa, and that's really it that I'm looking forward to there.
And leave all this weapon EXP sitting here, are you?
Where
This base is littered with weapons lying everywhere.
oh,
And there's some in here too.
get the cheek. I have I know Chiakona's gun is recommended, but I'm just not gonna go for that. Already
Well, I mean,
overspending.
there's not going to be any situation really in which you're not going to find that the signature is recommended. Like,
Yeah, it's
if you decide to set that as your standard, you're going to have to pull every single one end of story.
what I mean is that one doesn't reach the threshold because it's not like Zani's weapon where it's so far ahead and allows her to do stuff like build her bars faster in her kit. Like it doesn't expand the kit in any way. Like Phoebe's is not necessary at all. I got Phoebe's because she's Phoebe. Like, you can get away with just about any catalyst on Phoebe. Um, it's just a performance enhancer. But yeah, so I think I'll live with just Carthia's weapon. Just slap a 4-star on Chiacona. Uh, and I guess I'll just make pull decisions based on what characters are cute and which ones will be fun in gameplay after that. Because I will not have enough to get Augusta or I don't think after the spree in Wuwa.
I know from experience that it takes me about 40,000 of anything to get one character, so it doesn't matter that doesn't make any mathematical sense. That is the way it is for me. So I just get burnt to the ground every time I pull on something.
So not not quite sure what to do with the character playing after that, but I'm also not too worried about it. I'll have a whole new character and her support to mess with if pulls go right, and Timu Sephiroth doesn't grace me with his presence.
Oh, he will. He will. He loves you too much.
Because unfortunately,
He's
Encore
your bra.
Encore showed up once. Took my guaranteed Encore, and then she decided to spook me once instead of Timu Sephiroth. Otherwise, every single loss I've had has been Timu Sephiroth.
He's not going to suddenly get better at Wave Band 6 or something.
No. I tried to use him on the bunk team for the tower, and I cannot beat the level 70 nodes with him having level 15 echoes. Because the boy needs to sit there and do his whole combo and get to the end of it, but he has 0 interrupt resistance. So you can't dodge cancel it because it'll reset the combo. It's not like any of the other characters that need to get to the end of their combos, where dodging will while still doing the combo will keep the combo rolling sometimes. No. Timu Sephiroth, no matter what you do, it just resets. So you're just boned. You just have to hope you've positioned yourself in a way where the enemy won't turn all the way around and whop you. Yeah, I think that might be everything we got for this show. Might be a good idea to call it late, or call it early because we just waffling.
Yeah, there's just not a lot to talk about. There's it's not like there's nothing happening necessarily, but most of it is outside like the center of gaming. Like the biggest, I think the biggest news that sort of really impacts gaming recently, I think, is probably going to be the Micron exit from the RAM industry, the domestic RAM industry. So if you've ever like one of these sort of the like store brand RAM type of RAMs. The manufacturer was Micron, and their in house brand was Crucial. Lots of people use Crucial because I'm gonna sneeze. Lots of people use Crucial RAM because Crucial RAM tended to be one of the cheaper ones, and there was nothing wrong with it. It was RAM. It did its job, and it was also the one that a lot of other manufacturers would buy and use as their own brand of RAM. Like they would just buy the units and then they would stick them on their own board and glue heat sinks to it and stuff. Like they were one of the 3 major manufacturers in the industry. The other ones are Samsung, and I can't remember because I'm just not that much of a tech person. But yeah, they've just decided to exit the industry entirely. They're not going to supply for end users, domestic end users anymore. They are going to supply entirely to um, the AI ventures in the totally not a bubble AI bubble. So yeah, this is sort of the RAM industry is an ugly, ugly place, and it has always been. Like, it's one of the tech industries, that has most often resulted in convictions for price fixing. Because if you look at RAM, it's something that you can track spot prices for like a commodity pretty effectively, and the prices are dictated purely by what's going on amongst the major suppliers. And if the major suppliers decide that, oh yeah, we're just going to agree not to lower our prices, agree not to really compete, well, nobody can do anything about it, because you can only have so many people in the RAM industry, right? You can't just set up a RAM manufacturing in your garage and become a competitor, right? This is sort of like where the whole libertarianism thing starts to fall down, because you just can't enter the industry because you want to and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It doesn't work like that. There's not really any room left in the industry for any other players. So the people who are in the industry need to obey the law, or the whole thing collapses. And RAM does not. RAM is a cartel. And this is just making it even worse now, because this whole AI thing is sort of like it's just a more obvious version of like the cloud computing thing, right?
Hmm.
If you make RAM too expensive, then the only way you can do heavy duty calculation is by renting time on a cloud. And oh, guess what? Who's supplying all of the RAM to the cloud, to the distributed computing, to all that stuff, to those big mainframes that are busy, trying to think of ways to ruin your life while selling their computing time for other number crunching purposes. Well, it's the same companies, right? They would supply domestic RAM, except now they're going loud with the clarity of their intention to just not support the domestic market because it's not lucrative enough for them. They can help generate a captive market, as well as just not supplying anybody but the wealthiest possible customers, which are basically the state funded ones. Like, this is a lot of the problem really, is that like, for instance, in the West, the problem is usually the US government just constantly giving grants to people for things like AI research and setting up AI infrastructure and that, because they've decided it's going to be important to the future. So you need to completely undermine the free market, which is what they've done. So RAM's not a thing anymore. The price of RAM has gone up by, double to triple figures percent, and it's not going to come down again. Not unless the bubble bursts and they become desperate.
Yeah, and the all that will really need to happen for that bubble to burst is for some company and its investors, to one of the bigger ones, that's one of these AI bubble companies, to continue to not show returns on it, and their investors get skittish, and you see a mass fleeing of the AI as investors abandon, or regulation comes in of any kind and starts poking the bear. That'll scare investors off, and then once people start leaving at a significant enough point, the whole bubble bursts and collapses because it's so
It's like,
hyperinflated right now.
when somebody brags about having like designed some important infrastructural system using AI, and that infrastructural system fails for any reason, AI related or not, the reputation for the whole industry will fall into the toilet, and it'll be a done deal.
Yeah, and the rate of improvement for AI has, like all new technologies, was really fast at first, but it's starting to slow down significantly. It's
Yeah, like
starting to stagnate.
everybody was banking on the idea that eventually AI is going to improve it. Like, AI is going to reach that singularity point
Yeah, but
where it's
uh,
going to design its own improvements. but it's manifestly not happening.
Yeah, and it will not happen as long as its data input is data created by humans, because yeah, it's just not going to happen. Like, that's still science fiction territory.
Yeah, I mean there are sort of ways that it can kind of pseudo happen. Like you can use it to brute force heaps of iterations, but you still need a human to prune those iterations in a meaningful way, because the system can't really can't set meaningful goals. They can only set sort of arbitrary numerical ones. So it's just not really feasible right now, and I think that is going to start to dawn on people that the science fiction story is just a marketing pitch. It's not actually the way it exists in the real world. Certainly not yet.
Like it is cool to have a tool that can, translate an EDI file or something into something readable by the layman. That's okay, but that's not magic. That's just data parsing. And once that's also a binary. Can it do it or can't it? But yeah, it's not going to improve to a point where it'll be able to iron all the kinks out itself. Never mind that the data it gets is dubious at best, given where it sources its stuff from, which means there will be
Cough
problems with.
Reddit cough.
Yeah, if you're sourcing Reddit and Wikipedia for 50+% of your
No,
knowledge.
I'm not being
Oh, I know
twee
you.
here.
I know you are. I
Like
know they do.
nearly every single one of these models has used Reddit as its library to do the initial training. So their understanding of, like, to the extent that it has the concept of understanding and it doesn't, the sort of artificial understanding that is generated by this library of information is hilariously skewed and completely inept.
Yeah. So yeah,
Like, this is one of those few situations where Twitter might be a better source of information.
yeah, like Wikipedia and Reddit are no joke for some of these models. Up to 70+% of their initial learning input. Like, it's what their core self was based on, was data from Reddit and Wikipedia.
And they
That
are both environments which self-select for compliance instead of truth.
and are often self-contradictory. So doesn't seem like a winning model for your digital brainchild to base itself off of. But you know, they do them, I guess. The myth of infinite growth will continue, and the bubble will keep bubbling. But this one will burst eventually,
And eventually they'll make a Yakuza game about it.
probably. Actually, in Yakuza Zero, the entire economy bursting after the big bubble in the late '80s was all Majima's fault.
Why would he do such a thing?
Well, he met the guy that would eventually become the politician that enacted all the policies that burst the bubble prematurely in a bar, and he's shooting these ideas to him, and the correct answers in the sub story are to just go, "Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense." But every single policy is one that would accelerate the burst of the bubble in the '80s to make it a hard crash instead of a gradual pop. So the reason for Japan's hard crash after the bubble was entirely Majima's fault.
Why you do this, Majima?
Funnily enough, they're all taxes and increases in government interference on the market.
Well, I mean, the Japanese market is pretty much artificial anyway, since it was synthesized by the US after the war.
Yeah. I love when people try to use Japan for anything as a reference point. Modern Japan, like modern Japan is is a not not a I don't want to say not a country. It's not technically correct. There's still enough of a thing there to call it a country, but it's like the cyberpunk version of a country. The U.S. came in, stapled bits to it to make it functional after we took it apart.
Well, it was basically retrofitted into a vassal state of the US. The problem is that US can no longer project military might. Like, it's become so toothless that basically Xi Jinping was able to ring Trump and tell Trump, make Japan back down, and Trump made Japan back down, which is like, that's the sort of capitulation you don't want on your resume. But it's too late to stuff that genie back in the bottle. You didn't have any military power to back up your trade war, so you lost. That's not really the way it's supposed to go. But the the Japanese are basically going to realize that the US doesn't have their back anymore. End of story. If just China does something, the US will hang them out to dry, and it's as simple as that. Because they're way more interested in backing Israel than backing Japan, even though Japan is a relevant ally and Israel isn't. So they are going to have to start acting like a real country again. They'll have to pull back together their identity and basically cut themselves loose from the US, because the US is not helpful to Japan anymore.
Don't know.
Too busy helping Israel.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm completely haven't been following any of the current political events and news because they've just been fun. Honestly, the current political zeitgeist is so cancerous. Reading through it because it's filled by the feds and glowies have figured out a way to make every single conversation the most least helpful and productive thing of all time.
No, this is just what happens every time something big happens to the right. This is the sort of devolution you end up with. It's just the way the right operates. It's the reason why the right always loses in any kind of democratic or republican system, is because they cannot organize and they cannot cooperate. End of story. Like, as far from a left wing perspective, the assassination of Charlie Kirk was 150% successful, no losses, because all that it did would precipitate a massive civil war on the right.
Yeah, so I've just been disconnecting from it until something more useful to parse comes through because the current uh, dialogue is just there's no salvaging what's going on right now. I've been just ignoring it. There is no input to make on it, no information to parse. It's just people being retarded.
It's basically, at this particular juncture, the issue is that the Zoomer generation has realized that none of the generations preceding them have a damn clue what they're doing. And the boomers are still refusing to admit that they don't have a clue what they're doing. And the millennials have checked out of society entirely because there's no winning. So there's basically there's three major factions of people who aren't talking to each other, or if they are talking to each other, no information is being communicated because the boomers aren't listening, and the zoomers don't believe the boomers are listening, and they're right about that. And the
Yeah.
millennials aren't talking to anybody because they've given up.
Yeah. I think Phoebe pokes herself with her hat. Morning.
I don't know.
I've been trying to inspect her bows on her hair to see if they have crinkles on them, and I think they might. But she keeps hugging the lemur and moving the bows. Right. So yeah, we're wobbling. So got anything else before I set this out?
No, no, not really. What's going to happen next week? Next week is Star Rail patch, and I don't know what else. Is there anything else scheduled for next week? Banue banner? Isn't that due up?
Yeah, I'm not pulling on it though, and neither are you. So that one will wash by us.
But it's a short banner, I think. So that means there's only 2 weeks left on it, or something like that, as of next week. So next week they'll probably announce the next preview stream, which will then be the following week, I think. depending on the schedule that they decide to keep for the end of the year.
Oh, when are we supposed to get Defense Bunny? The evil little rabbit.
Well, I mean, there are rumors that she's free, but there's zero confirmation that she's free. She is to drop in the next patch alongside Ye Xinguang as the second banner. But they've not really let out any confirmatory information about that. I think that it's likely that she's going to be sort of like a New Year's gift style of presentation, if they're going to go with the free option.
Alrighty then. All right, folks. We'll see you next week for a long show with Fern. We'll cover the Game Awards and anything else that crops up. May turn out to go super long or not. We'll be playing it by ear.